I grew up in California. I'll put it that way.
I'll try to apply it to your. Like where?
Okay, I grew up in one of the most expensive towns in California.
Okay, Montecito. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, something like that. I don't want to talk because I'm a political commentator. I'm not saying my name, but I will tell you.
Fine, but
that seeing that we had three 82-inch TVs in my school for a public school when other kids in
You know about Patriot Mobile and what they stand for. I've talked to you about their commitment to family, faith, and freedom. But have you made the switch yet? You'll get exceptional nationwide coverage on America's best networks without sacrificing your values. Get unlimited.
Point to that.
Bet Victor. New customers can get £30 in bonuses and 30 free spins when you wager £10.
If I'm driving a car, I'm taking the chance that there could be a kid if there's like a bike lane right next to me. And this actually happened recently close to my home, where there's someone on a Lime scooter on like a bike lane right next to me. He fell off his Lime scooter and he got hit by a car and the kid died. That's really sad. It was a life that ended. But I didn't have to go to drive. I didn't have to drive my car. The person didn't have to drive in the car who hit the kid, but he took the risk. In the end, the law still doesn't punish the driver because it wasn't his fault. He did everything that he possibly could, and he didn't have to drive.
You're equating having sex with driving, just to be clear.
My analogy is that it's my choice to drive a car or not, but I'm still taking the risk. But if someone...
Well, hold on, but if you're driving a car and you do run somebody over, you could be susceptible to manslaughter laws.
I could be susceptible to that, but if it's not my fault, then I don't get a manslaughter law. And what happened in this case is that they didn't get a manslaughter law.
Then let's go further. Legally, at what point is something your fault?
It's very circumstantial.
No, but like what is the intent threshold when something is your fault?
If you intentionally try to cause an action, then it's your fault. But
I agree,
for this
like
driver, they did not intentionally do it.
So
There's
like
nothing
an abortion,
they could have done.
hold on, like an abortion, you intentionally cause a result.
I'm intentionally causing an abortion.
Yeah, you're
but it's my right
causing
to choose
an abortion. So with intent standard, you are eliminating a human life.
In the end, it's still the woman's choice to do it. She wants their home. I can do whatever I want with my home. If I want to kick a homeless person out of my home, even if I know that he's going to die in the street, I'm allowed to kick that homeless person out of my house, even though that means he'll die. And that's really sad that a human life will die. I agree with there's a human in the body. I agree with that. The person will still die. It's still my choice. It's still legally my choice to kick a person out of home.
Let's play this out. Let's just
okay.
Because your analogy sounds rational, but it's not. Can a mother of a 1-year-old kick her baby out of her house?
No.
Well,
she can set it up for adoption.
No, but why can't she just leave it on the side of the street? Isn't that a child abandonment law?
There's a gray area between setting someone to go up to an adoption center, which is a really easy thing to do, to just drop them off at a fire station, which you're allowed to set up someone for adoption.
No, but hold on. You said that you do not have to give care to someone who knocks on your door. That's your whole contention.
Legally correct. You don't.
Right. So, but if you have a 1-year-old baby,
you can either give them care or you can put them up for adoption. You have one of two choices.
That's my stance when it comes to the baby in the womb.
And the baby in the womb is different.
How is it different? How is it a different?
It's physically taking over the woman's womb. It causes physical, emotional, mental damage to the woman when it's in the womb.
But how is that? How does that at all diminish or increase the value of the human life?
The human life's still important. I'm not saying that abortion is not tragic. But what I am saying is that the woman's right to choose what she does with her own body is also important. The right to self-autonomy is also important.
But doesn't the baby also have a right to self-autonomy?
I agree, and the person who's homeless and will die if I don't let him in the house also has the right to self-autonomy, but he doesn't have the right to self-autonomy if it means that he's infringing on my own rights.
Your homeless example, again, further falls apart. If they knock on a hospital or a police station or a fire station, they are welcomed in. So there are places for homeless people to be able to get care. There's no place for an unborn child to get care if they walk into an abortion.
That's a societal obligation, a government obligation, not an individual private obligation.
No, I agree. That's why abortion. An individual person's
body is their own private one.
I agree. That's why abortion should be illegal, because we have a societal obligation to protect every life.
It's a private person's womb. It's a private person's house. They're both private property belong to the individual person.
So you think the womb is private,
it is the woman's womb.
Got it. But is it her DNA that's forming?
If you're a music producer, you've probably dreamed about turning your passion into a real career, getting millions of streams.
Half of her DNA, and it doesn't matter. If it's a separate person with their own unique DNA.
If it's not your DNA, why is it your choice?
Because it's living in my own house. If it's a random homeless person, I can still kick him out, even if it means that he will die.
Yeah, I just...
It's my choice to do that.
It's such an incredibly morally perverse argument to make.
Moral
just so
or
we are
not,
clear.
legally does not revolve around your morals.
Well, of course it does. I mean, laws are a reflection of morality. That's why we have murder laws, right? That's why we say you can't steal. Every law is a reflection of some moral truth.
For stealing, it doesn't directly affect you. If I try to murder someone...
Of course stealing affects me. Of course it does.
You're stealing to directly affect someone else. You're not stealing because you have to steal. You're doing it because you're choosing to actively steal. For a baby going into a person's womb, the mom's not killing the baby because she wants to kill the baby. She's killing the baby because it's taking her own organs and causing the physical stress and safety of her own body.
I need to get back to one contention, though. Do you believe in generally, that people should take responsibility for their own actions?
Yes.
Okay. So then,
but if it's not their fault, then no.
Hold on, but by fault, they made a decision to have sex 99.9% of the time. But by doing
99% is rape, and even still, abortion laws. But 99% is the opposite. Is the opposite.
99% of the time, it's a form of birth control. So
yeah,
essentially, you would agree that it being a form of birth control, basically, it's a oopsie. I'm just going to eliminate a human life because I have autonomy of my own body.
You're willingly taking the risk of that birth control potentially failing, but you're also doing that when you're driving a car. If I go to a mechanic and he checks that my brakes, are okay,
that's such a morally contorted analogy.
I'm still taking the risk that my car can still work. I agree with the analogy.
No, in no way is that even close to the same.
You're taking the risk in both chances, and both can kill a person.
Wait.
So never drive?
Wait, you're saying that having sex could potentially result in the death of a person?
You have the chance of getting pregnant, and if you don't want to get pregnant...
and then you have an obligation to allow that life to grow. Because universal human equality applies to all human beings, regardless of how small they are or where they are. Just because you're within within a womb. And to play out that analogy further, you say that, well, it's drawing from the mom's nutrients and it's changing her organs. Yeah. Just so we are clear, the mom's nutrients continue when the baby's 6 months old. You ever heard of breastfeeding? The mom's organs continue to change after birth. Yeah. Can she then eliminate the 6-month-old saying, I don't want to feed that 6-month-old?
You can put it up for adoption, yes.
Well, no, why can't she murder it?
Because at that point, she has a choice to save the baby. If you can save the baby, you can. And I'm saying viability.
You could save the baby at 23 weeks.
I agree with you. I'm saying first trimester when the baby's not viable.
Okay,
outside
so
of the
now
womb.
we're getting somewhere.
And I said that at the beginning of my open statement, too.
But the viability standard is, very questionable. When does human development begin?
At conception. I agree it's a human person inside you, but the problem is that you're taking the woman's own part. And so, look, if the baby can come out of the woman and still be alive, then I agree abortion should not apply, and that should be an individual case of the doctor to determine that. But if it's taken directly from the woman, and the baby has to die in order for the baby to come out,
let me just conclude in this. Every baby will take from something else necessarily for the first 3 years. A baby will not hunt and gather, and a baby can't go get a job.
I agree.
So by definition, every baby, whether it's 6 months in the womb or 6 months outside of the womb, is dependent on an exterior force. So that moral threshold of viability actually does not continue out. It'd be one thing if a baby is born, all of a sudden the baby says, okay, let's get to work and let's, go, become a janitor. A child is actually highly dependent and only viable in the sense that it can breathe and clean its bladder. However, there are millions of baby born in NICU units across the country, neonatal intensive care units, that have all sorts of machines and contraptions that do and simulate the work of the gestational process. So I can understand your argument. I just think it's incredibly morally troubling to say that a woman has so much autonomy over her own body, therefore you are allowed to then eliminate, murder, or kill if it makes your life a little bit difficult.
We'll agree to disagree. There's one more point I want to make quickly, too, is that you compare abortion to the Holocaust a lot. Can you
It's actually worse than the Holocaust.
Explain why.
55 million babies have been killed since.
Compared to how many in the Holocaust?
6 million, yeah.
Okay, so would you say it's by ratio?
That was in the Holocaust that is not quite manifested in the abortion industry.
I agree.
Which was the intentional extermination of a specific type of people.
I agree.
Now, part of the abortion industry also has a lot of anti-black eugenics philosophy as the basis from Margaret Sanger. But I would say there was this very specific, unique evil in the Holocaust that we've not seen replicated in many other times, which is that we want to eliminate a certain time of people. But by scale, it is far worse.
That's good. I've heard in a lot of debates you've said that the Holocaust is 8 times less as important as abortion because there's 8 times less people have been murdered.
Unique.
But my point is that they're unique circumstances.
They are unique. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thanks. All right, next disagreement can come on up.
How do you get out?
Thank you. Hi,
that a
Charlie.
shofar?
Yeah, would you like to hear it?
Okay. Very good.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it. Charlie, I appreciate
To then eliminate murder or kill.
Can you get 55?
Part of the abortion industry also has a lot of eliminate a certain. Next.
How do you get
it.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it. Charlie, I appreciate what you're doing very much in that you're bringing the spirit of debate to these campuses. There's some issues I have with your rhetoric around Judaism and Israel and Zionism that I want to address here. It's my contention that the word anti-Semitism itself, and I'm sorry, but let me just back up to say, yes, I'm from a Jewish heritage, but I do believe in Jesus. So, yeah, we're good that way.
Praise God, you're a Messianic Jew then.
I don't necessarily call myself that, but if it's good for you, whatever, it's fine. I believe in Jesus. And so it concerns me that the word anti-Semitism is conflating issues of race, religion, nationality, and ethnicity. And those are 4 very distinct issues. And what happens is when they're conflated in a debate type environment where people are disagreeing about public policy issues or social issues, then it becomes virtually impossible to have clear communication about the issues. And so my disagreement with you, what I want to debate you on, or maybe you'll give up the word, is the utility of the word anti-Semitism. My contention is that it's causing confusion and that we're not being clear, we're being lazy with that word. So what is your...
You might be right. I prefer the term Jew hatred over anti-Semitism, but you didn't make much of a contention. You got to give more evidence or examples.
Well, Jew hatred is another version, in a sense, of the same thing, because if you have a word like Jew hatred, it's still not clear whether someone is Zionistic or not. It's not clear, whether it's an ethnic thing that they're uncomfortable with or a genetic thing that they're uncomfortable with. And these are very distinct issues that need to be talked about.
So when someone says, for example, the Jews did 9/11, how would you categorize that statement?
Thank you for putting it that way, because I respect how this comes up in your...
Because that actually came up the other day at a campus event. Someone says, the Jews did 9/11.
Right.
How would you categorize that statement?
Okay. I would categorize that statement as someone who's done some research on an issue and is making some overgeneralizations that create a lack of clarity in the conversation. So what happens is, the Jews did this, the Jews did that. We're really not talking about specific actors, how specific actors are organized, whether it really represents the ethnic culture in some way. And so I'm just arguing for real clarity.
We're not even arguing, but I just want to be clear. If someone says we should kick Jews out of the country, is that anti-Semitic?
If someone says we should kick Jews out of the country...
Is that anti-Semitic?
To me, the word anti-Semitism is a useless word.
Got it. So, but what is it then if someone says, let's kick the Jews out of the country?
Okay, so I want to know, does that person have a religious bigotry that they don't want people of different religions or the Jewish religion particularly in America? Or is this a racial thing that they're concerned about? Or is it a cultural ethnic thing? And this gets to the issue of 9/11. Another way has to do with people bringing up how Jewish intellectuals have influenced culture through the academic institutions, through medicine. these are real issues that deserve attention and discussion, and I just don't feel like you're taking the time with people. Often students come up, they're just getting, up to speed on these issues, and they don't necessarily frame the question well,
Yeah, I don't
but there's
know. I mean,
real
like,
issues there to discuss.
I would agree with you. I'm very careful at using the term anti-Semitism or Jew hater. But if someone says we should kick the Jews out of the country, I do think that's anti-Semitic, Jew hatred. I don't really need to hear more about where they're coming from.
Oh, I understand it's a problem for probably
Okay.
numerous reasons. We're not disagreeing about that, but what we are perhaps disagreeing about is how to be effective in dealing with the problem. What I'm saying is if you just jump to the anti-Semitic word, then that person is not going to be challenged
I largely agree
specifically
with that.
on the issue. Okay, great.
Thank you for your
Can we go
time.
to one other thing?
Well, I want to get to a student.
Hi, Charlie. My name's Jamie, and it is a pleasure to finally meet you. I'm a proud lifelong Republican, and my question is on ideology and good
You
taste.
fight through it. Let me ask every hand.
You download our open source software, install it on your PC, and you configure what we can use.
Have a similar effect to the Smooth-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, where they tried to push the same thing of raising tariffs, trying to bring back more jobs for Americans. But I think because it was 1930, I think it worsened the Great Depression instead of what the idea was to help the economy, but it ended up making it worse. How will Trump's policies be different from back then?
Well, a couple things. Number one, we are in a massive trade deficit with a lot of these countries. Now, a trade deficit on its surface is not necessarily a bad thing. It's really bad when you are simply and solely a consumerist economy. Let's start with the good news. Every country would love to be a consumer economy. The fact we've created a consumer economy is an amazing thing. Every other country wishes that they were so popular and so wealthy that every company wants to come and do business with you. The problem is if you are only a consumer economy. If you are only consumer and not a manufacturing or an industrial economy, then you have a major problem for industrial supply chains. Here's what the president has done. He has a 90-day pause on all the tariffs right now. Market responded favorably to that. All the tariffs on China are continuing. And honestly, they should continue. The Chinese Communist Party is the greatest enemy of the United States. We have so many of our critical needs that are made in China, we have to decouple from them. It might be a little bit clumsy. Here's the one thing I will say, though, that we are going to get a massive tax cut, no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. We're going to see a major middle-class tax cut, coupled with an unleashing of American energy. Oil prices are down dramatically. And I would say this, we've used tariffs all throughout our country's history, throughout the 1800s, early 1900s. Not every time do we use tariffs does it go to a depression. In fact, President McKinley, not talked about all the time, in the late 1890s, put on way more tariffs than President Hoover did. And we actually saw a robust structuring of the American middle class. And so I would say trust the process a little bit. We're going to do this prudently. But in my opinion, the tariffs should not be aimed at Japan or South Korea or Vietnam, but it should be against the Chinese Communist Party and the menace that they present against the American people. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll sign it. Yeah, sure.
Subscribe to.
Sounds like Ojo time.
Okay, who's up?
Hi. So I am a Catholic, and I put a lot of love for Christ and his teachings. And so since he says to render unto Caesar's that which is Caesar's and unto God which is God's, my fear is that we can often render unto Caesar what actually belongs to God. So I was hoping you could clarify for us and also for the people who are shouting against you in the back, could we clarify what is the social reign of Christ? What does it look like? What's your vision for it? And how has your faith impacted your political beliefs?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is no such thing as separation of morality and state. It does not exist. Every law is a reflection of some agreed upon morality. I believe the teachings of Christianity, as the founding fathers did, instruct our basic moral code. The Decalogue is a great place to start. The Ten Commandments is the Decalogue. I believe that Christ, though, is even above our government. He says his kingdom is not of this world, but we should contest in the public square to do what Christ wanted us to be, which is salt and light in every domain and arena. That means protecting the unborn. That means making sure that crime is not, our streets are not riddled with crime. And also the ideas of private property, the ideas of freedom of speech, these are all biblical ideas at their core. I think the American founders struck it correctly, which is that it's a Christian foundation with a free society that grows out of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I just wanted to hear that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
God bless you.
Thank you. All right, disagreements come to the front. You have a disagreement?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry that I maybe took a student's place. I was willing to stay until 3 o'clock today. 50-year-old woman. I'm a mom, so I feel like I get a chance. Okay, so I would start off with just saying 100% that I believe that you had a huge part in getting President Trump elected. What I've seen you do is amazing, and I so appreciate everything you do. I love so many things about you. I just even love how you keep your microphone down. You're so patient and how you talk to people, finding common ground. All that to say. So I had an abortion when I was 14, and my mom took me, and so I feel like, and then the question or disagreement is that I think there's a possibility that maybe you have mischaracterized abolitionists of abortion and saying that we want ex facto laws to be put in place if that, as if that I should be punished for that 40 years ago and or my mom and or the boyfriend's parents. I don't want that. I'm saying if that law got put into place and that that was made illegal, would we treat it as murder? And the reason I'm saying that is, like you teach all the time, is that the law is a tutor, which we believe. I love God. Once I became a Christian, I've had to regret that for so many years. So to be able to say that it could have been amazing, possibly, if there was a consequence, my single poor mom would have maybe not taken me. If she knew, she's not a believer, still not, 77, but if she knew that that was against the law and that there was a punishment for it.
Fair enough. In that circumstance, who do you think should be punished, your mom or you, the 14-year-old?
I totally, if at that point, and I know that there are 10, 11, 12-year-olds that are wisely making the choice to not kill their child. I absolutely did not ever have that thought. I know I didn't, and I was not a Christian, wasn't raised with any morals or beliefs. Hence, I was pregnant at 14. So. Sure. I mean, I accept responsibility for it. I wish I would have said something, but also my mom and the boyfriend's parents.
So let me tell you where I struggle with it.
Please.
I struggle that some, not all, but some women who get abortions are not given informed consent.
Right.
That they really do not know the complexity of the humanity around their decision.
Absolutely.
So while I love what the abolitionists are pushing for, obviously, I want to see an end of abortion.
Sure.
I'm not convinced that the idea that every woman that goes into the abortion clinic should be held to a criminal standard if and when if this ever happens.
I agree.
Because a lot of women are duped and lied into that.
Absolutely.
Would you understand my heart from that perspective?
I do. And so what I think the pro-life side is, which I have been, since I became a Christian, is compassion for the mom. I understand that. But you always say, so does Kristen Hawkins, Lila Rose, they say all the time, if someone came up here and said, but if we set aside rape, coercion, incest, life of the mother, that's what, you know the facts more than me. It's a tiny percentage. So how many women are going in by choice to kill that child because they don't want to be pregnant, they don't want to mess up college?
We don't know.
We don't know, but it's a huge amount.
And so here's where we might find agreement.
Okay.
I don't want to spend too much time on this.
I know.
Who we should go after is the abortionists and the abortion doctors who do know what they're doing.
Except for they are not walking on the street and saying, come in here and get an abortion. It is women choosing.
Yes, sometimes. Sometimes they're forced by boyfriends.
Sometimes, I believe,
sometimes
I
they're
agree,
forced by
so was
pimps.
I.
Sometimes
agree.
they're forced by family members.
Absolutely.
So that's why I try to have a little bit more caution
I
on this
understand.
topic.
Yes.
God bless you, and
Yes.
thank you for
and
your
real
advocacy.
Quick, real quick
yeah,
on that.
I got to get
So-
to students.
Okay,
so.
okay. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wherever the lady is.
God
really
bless you.
appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you. Yes. Hello. How are you?
Good. My name is Nick. I'm an aerospace engineering student here. Got a couple questions.
Awesome.
That's all right. So I'm particularly concerned about your brand of Christianity. As a Christian myself, Christian nationalism I do not agree with at all. I think it's antithetical to the values of the early church. And I think, how do you reconcile especially white Christians in this America marrying politics and power with their faith in this country?
Well, there's a lot there. I've never described myself as a Christian nationalist. So I'm a Christian and a nationalist, so I've never used those two
And
things.
then right there, that and nationalist. Where in the scriptures does a Christian...
Well, thank you. Jeremiah 29:7, demand the welfare of the nation that you are in, because your welfare is tied to your nation's welfare. Let me continue. Daniel fasted and prayed for his nation. Esther and Mordecai cared for their nation. They were counsel to the king.
Right.
Nehemiah, Jeremiah, Joseph, Jacob. I could keep on going. Moses, Aaron. In fact, Moses was so political that he wrote an entire book of the Torah all about how to set up a government. It's the book of Deuteronomy. So, in fact, the Bible is an explicitly political text amongst many other things.
Now, can we interpret those texts in the light of the revelation of Christ? Because you just cited all Old Testament texts, but you've not once cited St. Paul.
Bet Victor. New customers can get £30 in bonuses and 30 free spins when you wager.
Okay, yeah. If you want me to also, by the way, just so we are
cite St. Paul about the kingdom of heaven and the
time
governance.
out. Just so we're clear, do you think that the New Testament is greater than the Old Testament?
It is. It is greater because the revelation of Christ dictates how we interpret the Old Testament.
So you think that all of a sudden, like Genesis 1 is not as great just because of the New Testament?
The Old Testament was a type and shadow of the things to come, and now we live in the full revelation of Christ.
Again, that is
by definition
such
lesser.
a dangerous theological...
That's not true. That's Christological theology.
Hold on. Of course I believe in the resurrection. But to all of a sudden say that, like, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth is, like, somehow lesser because of the revelation of the New Testament. Christ even said, I did not come to abolish the law of the prophets, I came to fulfill the law. In fact, he said all the laws of the prophet hang on the two teachings, Leviticus 19 and Deuteronomy 3 through 5. However, to use a New Testament example, as you asked, says in 1 Timothy, pray for your leaders in authority by name that they might make righteous great decisions. I'm going to continue. Christ our Lord said, on this rock build my what?
Church.
Wrong. Ecclesia. It's not the word church.
Okay,
the word
English
church,
translations of Common Bible say church, so my bad.
well, actually, it shouldn't, because the original Greek term says, on this rock build my government structure. Ecclesia was a secular word used in that time, which was all about the advancement of freedom and liberty, which are the two words in Greek, eleutheria and isonomia, which are the two words there. So the point being, Christ called us to be salt and light. We as Christians should change the environment that we come in contact with. That's what salt and light do. So why should we then not care about changing government to be more Christ-like?
Well, you're conflating changing government to be more Christ-like with what I was discussing was nationalistic endeavors, which is the inherent view that our nation is better than other nations.
Well, it is.
Well, God shows no partiality. So
well, no, that's not true. God says in Revelation, I will judge the nations. God says that
the nations means ethnicity groups.
Well,
it doesn't mean borders of countries established.
Not necessarily. Hold on.
It does.
God says the constitution of Israel will come at the end of the age. Borders is biblical. The entire book of Nehemiah is about building a wall around the nation of Israel. In fact, the idea of borders, the idea of sovereignty is an explicitly biblical idea.
Yes, but Israel is no longer defined by the physical borders. It's actually defined in the spiritual sons and daughters of God who believe in Jesus.
That's a Catholic interpretation.
That's not just Catholic.
Again, it's primarily a Catholic interpretation. I don't share it. I don't want to get into that theological debate.
Okay.
Because we're going to get nowhere. My mind won't be changed. Your mind won't be changed. But around nationalism, why don't you tell me, and I will listen, what a Christian's role in government should or should not be?
Simple. Sermon on the Mount. Operate in that way, and that's...
What does that look like in practice in America in 2025?
Well, in practice, it doesn't look like what has happened in history with Christians who have tried to establish their governance in the lands. For example, American history, slavery. Majority of white Christians supported the institution of slavery. Move on to Jim Crow.
That's actually not true.
No, that is true. That is true.
Time out. 9 out of 13 of the states by the time of the ratification of the Constitution, were already abolishing slavery. Not at 13.
Let's move on to Jim Crow.
Well, time out. Slavery actually had a minority approval rating by the time of the U.S. founding. We were the second nation ever to abolish slavery because of Christianity. So let me just ask a very moral question. The Christians that got involved in the abolition of slavery, like John Quincy Adams and William Wilberforce, they did it in the name of Christ. Were they wrong?
Monday.com's AI blocks are a total game changer.
Excuse me if I find that hard to believe.
You know that llamas are biologically
No, but those were small minority Christians. Majority of the Christians of the time.
Movements.
Let's move on to Jim Crow because majority.
You're moving on because,
no, because I didn't finish my statement.
But it was Christianity that abolished slavery.
It was a sect in Christianity that abolished it. It was a remnant of Christians who didn't go with the established order of what Christians believed.
Well, no.
We can go to Jim Crow. Let me finish the statement, please.
Okay. I mean,
in Jim Crow, majority of white Christians also supported not abolishing Jim Crow and keeping the institution. They did not support the Civil Rights Movement. This is documented data.
Well, not supporting the Civil Rights Act and supporting Jim Crow are two completely different things.
Those go hand in hand together.
Well, the Civil Rights Act was a disaster. I mean, that was a terrible idea. But, I mean, that's a whole separate issue. But just so we are clear, because the Civil Rights supporting
Jim Crow, majority of white Christians also supported not abolishing Jim Crow and keeping the institution. They did not support the Civil Rights Movement. This is documented data.
Well, not supporting the Civil Rights Act and supporting Jim Crow are two completely different things.
Those go hand in hand together.
Well, the Civil Rights Act was a disaster. I mean, that was a terrible idea. But, I mean, that's a whole separate issue. But just so we are clear, because the Civil Rights Act hyper-racialized America. We actually talk about race more after the Civil Rights Act than before. We were promised a color-bride society. We got a race-obsessed society. But just to be clear, today in America, what does a Christian properly involved in government look like?
I'm just going to say the same thing I said, the Sermon on the Mount.
Okay,
love your neighbor as yourself. Take others before your own needs. Feed the poor, clothe the sick, care for the widow, advocate for these values.
I agree with all that. And so, for example, to care for the poor and care for the vulnerable, abolish abortion. Right?
So abortion is another issue, but what about the living right now? Because you don't seem to be for raising taxes on billionaires.
Of course not. Why would I?
So if you want to legislate morality, abortion, I want to curb the sin of greed.
But so you want to curb the sin of greed by taking other people's stuff? That's pretty greedy of you.
No, it is not. It is not.
Just to be clear,
the data shows is that the past 40 years, the wealth in this country, the wealth inequality has increased, which is the top 1% has grabbed the wealth of the majority bottom.
There are reasons why that's happened, but just
why
so we are clear.
Why is that happening?
I'm happy to explain that. Just so we are clear, saying we're going to just raise tax on the billionaires, that statement, you just violated 2 out of the 10 commandments.
That's not true.
Thou shalt not steal and thou shalt not covet. We're going to go take other people's money.
How is that stealing?
Because it's their money.
We live in a society that is run by taxes. How is that stealing?
Well, taxations are a form of theft, definitionally. Because it's not the government's money. It is private property that you earn when the government extracts it by force.
Someone breaks into your house, you call the police. When you have a fire, you call the fireman. When you want to drive, you drive on roads. When you want to mail, you use the U.S. Post Office. These are all taxes. Yeah, we all contribute as a society.
Of course.
This is elementary stuff. It's not theft. How do you run a society without taxes?
What happens if you don't pay your taxes?
I mean, you get the law handed to you, but...
Oh, okay. So therefore, so you pay taxes at gunpoint.
If you break the law, you should pay the fine.
No, exactly. That's the point, is that taxes are not voluntary. Nor do I think they should be voluntary. You just have to be honest and say, yes, at some form, the government has to forcibly take some of your money away. I agree with that. But just we're going in so many different rabbit trails. Let me ask you just like a fundamental, simple question. Is that, do you want to see a government that fights for Christian principles or not?
That excludes the rest of the population? If we're not living in a theocracy, no, I want equal representation. And the church doesn't need to have government in order to thrive. In fact, in suffering and humility, the church thrives.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's like totally insane, but that's fine.
How is that insane? Go look at the early church.
You want to invite persecution is what you're saying.
I'm not inviting it, but
yes,
Christians ought to welcome it and embrace it and go through it.
Okay, but sometimes persecution results in the unjust suffering of millions of people unnecessarily. And so you should never invite evil into this world.
Did Jesus not promise that to us?
Well, did Jesus promise trials in difficult times?
Yes.
Yes, of course, but we should not invite it voluntarily. You know what that's like saying? Let's just, have no military. Everyone can invite us because persecution will make us stronger. It's such a ridiculous, abstract argument.
I mean, I don't see any scripture supporting a military for Christians.
You don't think we should have a military?
A government can have a military, but Christians...
Yeah, I mean, look, man, you got to go a lot deeper into the scriptures. You have a dangerously surface level.
You should read early church fathers on how they view violence and
Actually,
the military.
so you want to talk about early church fathers? Tell me about St. Augustine's just war theory.
You tell me about
Tell me, you just brought up early church fathers.
No, you tell me about
Tell
it.
me about St. Augustine in the City of God, 3rd chapter, just war theory.
Well, I don't really agree with a lot of St. Augustine because
he's the most popular early church father.
In the West. But there's the East, St. Athanasius, St. Gregory of Nyssa, Origen, all these different names that you probably are not familiar with because it's in the East. But most early church fathers condemned violence for, if you're in the church, you must leave the military, quit service, because you now belong to the kingdom of God, which operates on a different
Do you agree
plane.
with that?
I agree that if you're a Christian, you have no reason to commit violence for any reason at all.
I think that's insane. Honestly.
Just look at the example of Jesus. Was he put on a throne, or did he embrace the cross?
It says at the end of age, Jesus will come with a sword to judge.
Are you reading Revelation literally?
Yes, of course
So
I am.
he has an actual sword out of his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's your contention?
The interpretation that's common is Revelation, when he has a sword, that's the word dividing your soul and spirit, piercing the hearts. He's not waging war on people and killing millions of people.
That Christians should not serve in the military is your contention?
That's my belief. You don't have to believe that.
Yeah. We're going to have to get to the next question.
All right.
That's a new one. I got to be honest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, hi. Thanks for letting us talk to you. Can I take a selfie quickly? All right. My first question is, what's your stance on infant circumcision?
It's a very good question. Should it be allowed or should it be legal? I'm actually not a fan of it.
Like, it should be illegal?
I mean, it should be legal, but I'm not a fan of it.
Or do you mean legal if medically necessary, or legal by the parents' choice?
Legal with, I would say, religious exemptions. I mean, in Judaism, circumcision is a big deal. But there actually is not a great medical reason anymore to circumcise your kids. I know way more about this than the audience probably wants to hear. But
Okay, and then my second question is about the abortion arguments you made earlier. You gave an example where a mother isn't allowed to kill her child, but she can put her child up for adoption. I don't know, if you think about, I believe that abortion should be legal before viability. So if you think about an abortion as like removing the fetus from the mother, the fetus can't survive on its own, and if the mother doesn't want to continue providing nutrients to the fetus, then and no one else can provide nutrients to the fetus either, then the fetus will die. Similarly, if I don't know, if the mother puts the baby up for adoption and no one in the entire United States wants to adopt the child, then the child will die. Yeah, in that case, in the case where no one wants to take care of the child, who would be responsible for the child's death? Would the child be killed? Yeah.
I mean, foster care system sucks, but kids aren't really getting killed in the foster care system. I mean, sure it happens, but I mean, it's probably incredibly rare. I kind of did this a lot earlier, but our view as pro-lifers is that development starts at conception when your DNA is formed, and that any interruption or your insertion within the process of human development is definitionally murder, regardless of viability. There are a lot of people that wouldn't be viable outside of the womb. There are people that are on dialysis machines. There's people on ventilators. There's all sorts of viability arguments that actually don't bear out. And just because at 13 weeks you might not be able to survive outside of the womb, if you allow the baby to continue to develop, it can, because it's all part of a long-standing arc of human development.
Yeah. For the people on dialysis machines, are there any people that are required to take care of them, or do they?
Well, the state does eventually. If they're abandoned, eventually the state has to take care of somebody.
Okay. can the state take care of a fetus before viability?
No, but that doesn't mean it's not a human. Just because something is not viable does not mean it's not a human being.
Yeah. Okay, and then the other question I have is,
really quick, I want to get to another one. So,
for I don't know, zygotes, if they're created in a lab through IVF, would you consider, like, if those zygotes die, would that be human life dying?
Yes.
Okay. I don't really feel about like a test tube, a frozen test tube melting and then the zygotes dying, and I think that's because like infants, they're able to feel love for their parents, they're able to feel pain, they feel hungry, and then when they eat, they're happy. Zygotes, single cells, aren't really able to do that. They're not able to feel love for their parents.
but there is new DNA formed. You would posit that.
Yeah.
And that's who you are. Everything about you is coded into your DNA. Your chromosomes, your height, your potential weight, all of that. So your coding is your DNA, and that's just what should be protected. Thank you. I want to get to another question. Thank you.
Wait,
we got to get. Thank you.
Can I ask about?
You've asked like 6 questions.
Why
now.
Christianity is should inform our moral code?
Yes, I mean Christianity is the best way to live, and every society that follows it will flourish. So we can talk more about that later. Yes.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry. Just trying not to. Sorry. Hi, Charlie. Oh, yeah. I can go before you. Yeah, sure. Thank you for coming out. I probably don't agree with you on all that much, but I appreciate like encouraging this dialogue, and I think it's very important in this country with how divided we are. I have a tariff question. First of all, I'm in political science. I'm studying international relations. Do you think Trump enacting tariffs, pulling back tariffs, enacting tariffs, pulling back tariffs, do you think on a world order scale this is going to lead to like a distrust of America and a want to find other countries to work with?
No.
Watch how smart POD sellers turn one design into 10 different bestsellers using Kittle.
Why?
Well, first of all, the opposite is happening. The Japanese, the Koreans, the Vietnamese are all coming to this country right now to sit down with Trump to negotiate better deals. It's rather brilliant what Trump did. Is he said, I'm going to do all these outrageously high tariffs. Everyone freaks out. Market goes down. Forces them to the table in a way that otherwise would not happen. There's a 90-day delay of every country except China, which China should not be exempted because they're the #1 focus of all of our attention. And then you bring the Japanese, the South Koreans, the Vietnamese, the Madagascarians, all of them to the table, and you broker a better deal. What does a better deal look like? We're not going to get to trade parity, but there are 3 things in particular that we need. These countries need to buy more of our liquid natural gas, so more of our energy, which we are abundant of, which will create a ton of jobs. They need to buy more of our beef and our agricultural products, and that we also need to be able to be their primary source for technology transfers, not the Chinese. Those are the 3 things that Trump will try to negotiate, and using tariffs as leverage. Tariffs are very risky. I will totally acknowledge that. Tariffs traditionally were thought of for 2 things. They can protect your industry, and they can be for a national security reason. Those are the 2 things. Trump is now using a 3rd one. He's created it. Leverage. To bring people to the table.
No, that's perfectly fair. I guess this is more of a question of continuity. You have espoused mass support for tariffs as long-term economic policy. How do you reconcile that with your now like using it in more of a leverage sense?
Great question. Just so we're clear, there's still a 10% tariff that's in place. So I think a baseline tariff is perfectly fine. When we are starting to get to 30, 40, 50% of like arbitrary, very high numbers, I think that de-incentivizes reciprocal trade. But I think a 10% baseline is very fair to be a forcing function as well. So for example, if you're Toyota, how does Toyota avoid a tariff?
Make it in America.
Make it in America. Yeah. So what we want to try to do is at least give a little bit of a nudge so that these foreign companies are incentivized to make their products in this country.
I guess a follow-up to that. When Trump, I guess one of my main criticisms of the tariffs, I do agree like a blanket low tariff, I mean, I'm not necessarily against. One of my issues is I feel like there's a lack of transparency in the goal of these tariffs, where you see our economy seemingly crash and then somewhat come back.
Well, the market, not the economy.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you're right.
Market.
Just to be clear, the economy would not have gone well in 9 months if the bond market collapsed. I will give you that.
Yeah, and we have an issue like China and all the bonds and stuff. But, sorry, I forget what I was talking about.
Continuity is what?
Oh, yeah.
If you're a music producer, you've probably dreamed about turning your passion into a real career.
You're probably going to argue that there's not a transparent agenda,
transparent,
so it's very volatile,
Yes.
so people don't know what to expect.
Yeah, like if Trump's goal wasn't for these long-term economic tariffs to last, why was so much political power put into trying to justify
Well,
them?
number one, he's going to get a much better deal because of it. There is something in clinical political science, classical political science, called madman theory.
Nixon.
Yeah. And Trump is the madman theory, which is
I agree to a certain
and it's a
extent.
real
It's
thing.
the best example
We
of
can
it,
make
yeah.
fun of him for it, but in political science, it's studied as a proven methodology where you don't know which way he's going to go, up or down, and by doing that, you can actually get a much better deal.
That's perfectly fair. I think I just disagree with the positing
It's
of
cool.
tariffs as long-term
And I
economic.
also want to make sure that it's clear I have some humility when it comes to tariffs.
Yeah.
We don't know how this is going to work out. But the American people voted for it. I think a 10% baseline tariff is prudent and fair. And we want to try to get more of our goods to be able to be sold in these countries. Thank you for your time.
Fair.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I have a hat?
Yes.
White one.
White dudes for Harris? No. Hi.
Hello. Hi, Charlie.
You can come up and say something. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hi, Charlie. It's an honor to meet you. Oh, sorry. I can't go to the mic. Honor to meet you. I've been watching your debates all along, and I'm a proud conservative, proud parent of legal immigrants, proud American, and I just wanted to talk about the economy a little bit. I know when the tariffs hit, I do invest a lot, and I was a bit scared when it went down, but I like to think of the long term. So what could you say to alleviate long-term fears when it comes to, the stock market and any corrections in like 12 to 18 months?
If you invest in the stock market, do not look at your stocks every day. Don't even look at them every week. You should be investing in a multi-year perspective. Look, even if you bought stocks at like the worst possible time, which is like the height of 2008 before the crash or the height of 2020, even if you bought at those times, you still would be up dramatically today. The stock market has a crawling towards a higher and higher outcome. I am long-term incredibly bullish on the United States of America.
Same here.
We're going to have low taxes. We're going to have high growth, entrepreneurialism, an AI boom. The market goes up, market goes down. The market was up 3,000 points yesterday. It's down 1,000 points today. Hyper volatile right now. I would say just trust the process. I believe it's going to explode long term.
I totally agree with that. And when it comes to the foreign policy, I am a little weird. I mean, I am pro-Israel, but with I feel like what's happening there shouldn't have happened, and I'm a little alarmed by these protests because I did get death threats for my political views, and when I posted like pro-President Trump or pro-Israel views, and then I got a lot of people saying that you should die or like throw yourself in the river or something like that. It did hurt me a bit, but I stayed strong through it, and I was just like, I'm gonna have my own views. I'm gonna stay true to them. So I want to say like with Israel, like could you envision like a potential peace deal? Like what would a peace deal for Israel Hamas be like?
Yeah, I mean, it would work. Well, I don't know if a peace deal is possible between Israel and Hamas. I don't. I think Hamas needs to invoke an unconditional surrender.
Definitely. And also with the border, I'm so happy, with what's happening over there because with Tom Homan and Kristi Noem coming in, because it's a grotesque insult to my parents who came here illegally. Sorry, grab the mic again. It's a grotesque insult to my parents who came here legally. They had to wait 10 years for the citizenship
What
process.
country?
India.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad your parents came the right way. That's the way
Thank you
people
so
should
much.
come into this country.
And my dad is actually a huge fan of yours. Unfortunately, he's in New Jersey, so I can say like, oh hey, I met Charlie Kirk, and I really feel like I just had a question about like all these protests happening here. It's like it does get to me a bit because it kind of irks me because I feel like they don't know what they're protesting about, and when they say like have the signs like undocumented immigrants or the pink tax or this like it's actually we're targeting criminals. We're not targeting, those people yet, but anyone who's here illegally.
And also, they're welcome to come up to the mic. It just says a lot about a movement that would rather just scream at the sky than come up and actually have a discussion about the difference they have. Thank you for your time, my friend.
Yep,
thank you.
Megan has side
Yes,
hat, if
thank
you
you.
don't mind.
Yep. Any disagreements, guys? You guys come up.
That's about rent clothing. Nah, that's all.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was for him. Yes.
Thank you so much,
disagreements,
Charlie.
guys. Yeah. I see a lot of hands. We got to get them to the front. So, hello.
All right, hello. First, I want to say I am a conservative, so I'm one of you all. I am a legal immigrant to this country. I was born in Mexico. And so, okay, I want to get your opinion or your justification on something. I feel like the Republican Party had been gaining a lot of Hispanic votes, which is great. However, there's some actions that, in my opinion, are irrelevant that are pushing people away. For example, changing the name to the Gulf of Mexico. Or to the Gulf of Mexico. However, I understand it's changed here, but it's not being changed on any old maps. The rest of the world is still calling it Gulf of Mexico. Why is that relevant to make people upset and push them away from your party?
I mean, I don't think it's pushing people away, nor is it the most important. I mean, if you want to talk about it, I mean, first of all, it borders America more than Mexico. And it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way to say America's back and that we're proving it.
But only in America.
Okay.
Sounds like Ojo.
The rest of the world does not call it that way.
Okay. They can do whatever they want.
Okay.
All right. Let's get to a student.
This one? Okay. So this is like kind of a disagreement. It's just on abortion. So first off, I just want to say I'm very against abortion, right? Like it's messed up. It's not healthy for society, right? I'm just not completely sure if making abortion illegal is the correct answer. And can I just explain like maybe why that is? So sorry about that. Yeah. So I feel like as soon as the Democrats control Congress and the Senate, right, and try to figure out how the word is. So if we pass some sort of legislation that bans abortion, right, then as soon as the Democrats control Congress and the Senate, they're going to try and pass legislation to counter that immediately. Does that make any sense? Or?
Yeah, but you should still do the right thing, regardless of how Democrats will respond, right?
Oh, yeah, well, of course. Like, in theory, it's important to do the right thing. It's just in practice,
should we not have abolished slavery because the Democrats were going to come back and bring slavery back?
Oh, no, of course. I mean,
so it's a moral equivalent, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, just if the ultimate goal is to just decrease abortions, right? Can I ask you a different question? Is there, are there different ways to decrease abortion aside from diplomatic means?
Yes, but the most effective way to decrease abortion, we know this in states that have outlawed it, is outlaw abortion. I mean, birth rates have gone up in Texas and South Dakota and Arkansas. There are other ways to decrease abortion, but none of which are as effective as outlawing.
Okay. Then last question. Actually, no, I think.
Thanks, man. You want a hat?
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right, cool. Thank you. Oh, jeez.
How's it going, Charlie? My name is Zach, and I have a question regarding your faith. So, just like you, I'm a Protestant and have been as long as I can remember. The past few months, I've been trying to put my dogmas aside and seek the most objective truth, trying my best to understand the Scripture in good faith. With that being said, I am currently stuck in the most difficult chapter in the entire Bible that separates the Protestants from Orthodox and Catholic Christians. That is John 6, where Jesus claims to be the bread of life. I'm indecisive on how to view the Eucharist since I see good points on both sides. How do you reconcile it with this chapter as a Protestant?
Phenomenal question. So it's the question of what's called transubstantiation, of whether or not the Eucharist is a literal basic body and blood of Christ.
Listen, it's called Connect Team, and it's insane. I don't do schedules or timesheets manually anymore. And it works?
Let me ask you, do you think Jesus is literally a door?
No.
Then why would he be literally bread?
I don't know.
Do you think Jesus is literally a shepherd?
No.
Okay. Do you think Jesus is literally a vine?
No, sir.
Do you see what I'm getting at? Is Jesus used many earthly metaphors, and we believe as Protestants the Eucharist is holy and important, but it is not the literal body and bread of Christ.
Can I just say one thing? One thing I would go back to is that Jesus seemed to double down on the idea that he is the bread and he is the wine. He caused a lot of his followers to stop following him because he said it, and we didn't really see this effect from John 15:5, like the vine or the door. So how do you respond to that?
I don't know. I haven't thought that deeply about it. Again, I'm not here to attack Catholics that believe in transubstantiation. I think it's an amazing faith to believe in that.
Absolutely.
I just don't share that as a Protestant. Nor do I think you're less of a Christian if you believe it or not. I don't think it's. So there's open hand issues and closed hand issues. I think whether or not you believe the Eucharist is the literal, I think is a open hand issue, meaning we can get along with that. Like the divinity of Christ, that's a closed hand issue.
Yeah,
right?
yes, sir.
So I think it's a fun dialogue and a fun debate. I'm not as interested in that of whether or not I would rather go debate the Trinity or
Of course,
the
yeah, I
divinity of
understand.
Christ of
Yeah.
that nature. So.
And could you sign my hat?
Absolutely. God bless you, man. Good luck on your journey.
Yeah.
You've been waiting. You can go. You can go next.
Hello, white
Hi,
dude
Charlie.
Harris hat.
That's
There you
right.
go.
That's right. That's right. Will you sign the hat?
Depends. We'll see.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. How are you liking Purdue so far?
It's pretty good. The questions are very elevated.
I see you got a all black jacket and pants on. Are you not burning up right now?
I'm actually kind of cold. I'm in the shadow. I used to be able to. I grew up in Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone grew up in Wheeling area? Anyone from Wheeling? No. And then now I live in Arizona, so I get into like 50-degree weather, and I like.
Okay.
I gotta bundle up.
Yeah. Well, great day for you to come. Anyway, I just kind of disagree about college as a scam. I don't think college is a scam. I think, especially when it comes to your degree not exactly being relevant to your career. I think that's kind of a generalization where it's, maybe you're not doing a career that's specifically geared towards what you majored in or your degree, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your degree wasn't useful for you to get to that career path.
Okay, yeah, fine. So half of the people in this audience, once you guys go to find jobs, it might be higher at Purdue, but let's just say nationally.
Yeah.
Because engineering is a legitimately good thing to go study. That's
Right.
the exception. Just so we're clear, that's less than 10% of all college kids are studying something in engineering. Just so we're clear. In
Sure.
Purdue, it's much higher.
Yeah,
obviously.
STEM, but STEM too. STEM's.
Well,
STEM degrees are good even if it's not engineering.
I
right?
will address the STEM part in a second.
Okay.
Half of the kids in this audience, if you guys get a job, will get a job that doesn't require a college degree. Not that it requires something different than you studied. It doesn't require a college degree
Right.
altogether. Number one. Number two, I don't think we've properly grappled with how many of the jobs you guys think are going to exist that won't because of artificial intelligence. There will be massive displacement of mid-level management. And I actually think engineering is still going to be around because I think hardware we haven't yet thought through. We've had software revolution in the last 20 years and not a hardware revolution.
Okay.
So I think the future will actually belong to the engineers, so you guys are in the right thing.
Okay,
Because we need far more engineering minds that are actually able to put things together and how they work.
Right.
Whereas software, I think that's going to be largely displaced by artificial intelligence.
Okay.
But look, Purdue, I will say this. Purdue, to your credit, no tuition hikes for 15 years, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that deserves credit. More
Right.
pro free speech than not. The university's treated us really well here.
That's good.
But generally, if you're going to go to Purdue or any other school, or IU, let's pick on IU, right?
Yeah, come on.
If you go to
You got me
IU
now.
and you're studying North African lesbian poetry,
Yeah,
that's not a great use of your time.
I would agree.
Right? But if you're here studying, as the other gentleman who disagreed, aerospace engineering, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
So Purdue largely is an exception as an engineering school. I imagine you guys have humanities departments too, though, here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I
Yeah.
think most of the humanities departments kind of go hand in hand with STEM. So, for example, like there's one of the big programs in the School of Liberal Arts is Degree Plus or Degree in 3, where you can double major and get a humanities degree alongside a STEM degree or whatever else you're studying. So I think like that's important. And also as a chemistry major, hopefully a scientist soon, arts and humanities are very important. And science is very human, and I think that is what's going to keep us kind of afloat
so-
from AI. So I think it's still important.
That's actually
right?
a great
Like,
argument. But I would say the humanities, and this is a fact, have tilted insanely far to the left, right? They are very postmodern, very critical theory driven. And so if you're studying the humanities, if you're studying Plato, Aristotle, and Augustine, and
I just applied to 400 jobs in an hour. Oh yeah, and I also got 10 interviews. Now you may be asking, how the did you
Socrates and the classics, I think that's great. But if you're studying like Foucault and Derrida and Kimberly Crenshaw and Derek Bell, like I don't know if that's really worth your time. Here's the large part of it. Let's just be honest.
Okay.
Generally, kids that go to college do not have a direct career path as to why they're there and why they're borrowing the money. That's just a fact. And I think we have way too many kids going to college in this country, and we do need actually more. We need more mechanics, we need more carpenters, we need more welders, more HVAC, more entrepreneurs. And again, I do have to exempt engineering from a lot of my critique, as I do in my book, by the way.
Right.
Because I think that we have a ridiculous deficit in engineering in this country.
Yeah, I mean, so then considering that and considering, more than half of the degrees are coming from STEM fields, is it fair to say that college
Half
is
the
a
degrees
scam?
nationally? No, that's not true. Not even close to true.
Okay.
It's like 15%.
Okay, but for engineering, I mean, engineering alone,
STEM.
sure.
No, STEM is 15%. 55% is humanities, anthropology, social sciences, elementary school education, communications, psychology. So
Okay.
like 55 to 60% of kids that go to college are studying like abstract liberal arts.
Again, I still think that's like pretty useful, especially considering how far AI is coming and automation.
What is the job application of a communications degree?
I mean, like in terms of what career path you go with a communications
why
degree?
did you need to go to college to do that?
Because I mean, again, it doesn't. There's not an exact career, but a communications degree can help you get other jobs. For example, my brother was a communications major, and now he's in tech sales, and that degree helped him get into that.
That's
but
a great
it's not
example.
necessarily
I don't think you need a degree to get into
career.
tech sales. Let me ask you a hypothetical. It's a fun thought experiment. Okay.
Okay, sure.
An 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Let's say after 4 years. Actually, let me ask this differently. You're hiring somebody as an employer.
Yeah.
What is more attractive to you as an employer? A 22-year-old that went to IU, boo, and studied communication.
Well, of course not. Of course it's IU. Right?
Studied communications for 4 years.
Yeah.
Or a 22-year-old that has traveled the world, speaks 2 languages, and started his own business by the age of 22. As an employer, what is more interesting to you?
Well, why can't you have both?
Well,
they're not mutually exclusive.
Oh no, they are.
Right?
I mean, let's be clear. I bet a lot of you guys are not traveling the world right now.
I think some of us are.
Traveling the world while you're at Purdue?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
I mean,
you have a lot of money, man.
Introducing Class VR Accelerate with Eduverse CTE. Immersive XR transforming career and technical education. Designed for hands-on learning, built for education, with powerful CTE content libraries including Career Readiness, where learners develop the soft skills that drive work.
It's the same as a semester at Purdue. To do a summer abroad or a spring break or
No, I'm not talking about summer abroad. I'm talking
semester,
about I'm talking about like actually traveling the world, like being not just like going to school. I'm talking about traveling like to 50 different countries. Like, just so we are clear, I know that's not true. Only like 70%, like 30% of American kids have passports. So, like, I know that's not true.
But just because I'm going to college doesn't mean I can't travel the world. And just because I'm traveling the world doesn't mean I can't go to college. I think it's kind of a fallacy that it's just like either you're traveling the world and starting a business or you're going to college.
You think you could start a business while you're in college, like a really good, durable business?
Maybe not while you're in college, but you could do it. You could do it after or before you're in college.
But actually, that's another important point. Going to college weakens entrepreneurship. People are far less likely to start businesses after they go to college. They have debt, they have this largely meaningless degree, and that's the final contention. And college is about credentialing more than anything else. It's like, do you have the piece of paper? Have you checked the box?
Yeah.
I think we're gravitating away from that. And don't take my word for it. Employers of major companies are saying they're less and less impressed with the job applicants that they're getting. So I got to ask you, is the hat a troll or are you really a white dude for Harris?
Well, I mean, I'm not as informed as I should be. So, like, I didn't have a very strong opinion during the election, but I had a lot of friends that were for Trump, and we had, like, an election watch party. So I thought it'd just kind of be funny to play the other side a little bit.
I fully support a good troll. So.
Yeah, it's just,
and I'll sign your hat on that.
So, thank you, I appreciate it.
I'm going to say she lost on the hat, okay?
Okay, that's fine. I'll accept that. I'll take it.
All right, there we go.
Do you mind if I ask you one more question?
Yeah, really quick.
And I've heard a lot of people have been asking you about MJ versus LeBron, so if you prefer not to talk about it, that's fine, but do you mind humoring? Oh.
Yeah,
do you mind humoring me on MJ versus LeBron? Okay.
I mean, it's not even a question, right? I mean, it's an insult to MJ. It really should be MJ versus Kobe, is what it should be.
Wow, hot take. Hot take.
It's not even a hot take. So there's only one player ever that was NBA Finals MVP, MVP of the league, leading scorer, defensive MVP, and also has never lost an NBA Final. That guy's name is Michael Jordan. Do you know LeBron James? LeBron James is 0 for 14 in game-winning shots in the NBA Finals of the playoffs. The GOAT, Michael Jordan, hit 50% of his game-winning shots in all 6 of his NBA Final wins and never lost a single NBA Final.
Why is Bill Russell not the GOAT then? Because he went to 12 Finals, won 11.
Because that's not the only signifier of greatness. The greatness can be measured in not just statistically, of which is one of the measurements, but also
With Monday.com's intuitive work management platform, you have the power. Not IT, not ad.
What you did to the league. Here's a very simple question.
Sure.
When you go to downtown Chicago, are the kids wearing Jordans or are they wearing LeBrons?
Well, Jordan played in Chicago. Of course they're wearing Jordans.
All right,
What about Cleveland?
How about
Like,
this?
if you go to,
when you go to
Ohio,
Cleveland, they're wearing Jordans, man.
if you go to LA,
they're still wearing Jordans.
okay, but the thing is, like, LeBron has had a lot more of an impact on the culture there. Just because they don't wear his shoes,
hold on.
like,
Again, this is very hard for me as a 30-year-old, 31-year-old to communicate because
Okay.
of the cultural impact of MJ and what he did. When was the NBA more popular, the 1990s or now?
it's. I mean, I think it's pretty comparable.
It's not even close.
I think
it's actually statistically it's down 30%.
Okay, I think this is it's pretty difficult for us to debate on the topic of culture. So can we just stick to the numbers?
No, I'm saying
and
the numbers
greatness in
of
that
the
way?
game. I'm saying LeBron made the game worse. Less people watch it. Less people are interested. MJ made the game so much more entertaining. It was more popular. They sold out more stadiums. MJ made the NBA a cultural phenomenon. LeBron has made the NBA a cultural joke.
I don't know if I would attribute both of those things to MJ and LeBron.
Hold on, you're the face of the league, though.
particularly.
Hold on, you got to be able to own the success and own the downfalls. MJ was the face of the NBA. LeBron is the face of the NBA. And the NBA has slipped in every objective measurement of popularity and attendance. And you can't force me to watch an NBA game. It's a joke. No one takes it
I like the
seriously.
NBA.
You like the NBA?
Yeah, well, I'm a Nuggets fan, so Nikola Jokic, you know. That's
Okay,
another
I mean,
topic. MVP.
Yeah, again, I don't find it fun to watch a bunch of guys like in a glorified 3-point contest. Like that's basically what the NBA has become.
I disagree. I think it's pretty sick. But anyway, back to your
All right,
point.
that's fine.
I'm trying to remember. There was another point that you brought up earlier that I wanted to talk about.
It's not just statistics though. It's that how do you perform in clutch?
Okay.
LeBron James has lost more finals than he has won. LeBron James has never, ever, ever in his career hit a game-winning shot in the NBA Finals or the playoffs.
Okay, let's go back to impact.
Actually, there's one I could think of.
Let's go back to impact. So a lot of the praise going to MJ is about how he made his teammates better and his team better. And I'll wrap up, guys. Don't worry. But the year MJ left to go play baseball, that same year, the Bulls were pretty much just as good without him.
Did they win the NBA Finals?
No. I think their regular season record was just as good.
Doesn't matter. So
I think it does.
They
After LeBron left the Cavaliers,
they didn't get out of the Eastern Conference Finals.
After LeBron left the Cavs, they were significantly worse. You know, the difference in regular season
They also traded
record.
Kyrie Irving, though, didn't they?
No, that was the second time he was on the Cavs.
Okay.
The first time LeBron was on the Cavs, it was like he put the team on his shoulders. Sorry, pardon my language.
It's all good. Look, I mean, it's the real debate of whether or not is LeBron a top 5 NBA player, maybe top.
Wow.
5. Yeah, that's the
That
real
is a
debate.
hot take.
For you guys that didn't live through the 90s, LeBron is such a buster. It's hard to watch.
Okay, but
he
also
invented the flop. He's the largest complainer, the most left-wing political activist. I know that you don't care about.
And I don't
again,
agree with any
it's
of
just
those
he's
things
leaving
either, but I
the
don't think
league
that
in
takes
a
away from
worse
his greatness.
place. MJ is leaving the league in a better place. All I have to say is MJ doesn't have enough fingers for all the NBA final rings that he has to wear. LeBron James
Bill Russell doesn't either.
LeBron James does not have enough fingers to fit all the NBA finals that he lost. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
Can I get a hat? Can I match a hat? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, go Nuggets, go Broncos. That's all I got to
Fair
say.
enough. Oh yeah, Bo Nix is my man.
What?
I love Bo Nix. Bo Nix.
Oh
is great.
yeah, Bo Nix is a man. Yeah.
All right. Any disagreements, guys?
Yeah, this guy.
All right. We got a lot of disagreements.
Sorry. Thank you for coming, Charlie. So since Trump has applied his blanket tariff policy, it has almost entirely been for foreign goods, not foreign services. I'm a CS major here. I'm about to graduate. I love it. However, there has been a growing problem over the past few years where it's been harder and harder to find a job, and a large part of it has been companies hiring offshore software engineers to do the same jobs we do, but for much, much cheaper. How would you feel about a blanket tariff on offshore software engineers for 200% to help us guys out?
I think we should have a moratorium on the H-1B visa to help out computer science majors. I think that's a better solution.
I understand what you're saying, but it's actually already very hard. I know you said H-1B visa, but I would argue when you bring someone in here to work in those sorts of jobs, they do have to be paid roughly the same salary as Americans. But when hiring offshore, they're not buying here, they're not living here.
That's very smart. I got it. Yeah, the reason I like your idea is the tech companies have plenty of profits to play with right now. Plenty. So it's a good idea. Thank you, man.
Yeah, you have connections. I know you do. Can you reach out to someone in the
I'll
Trump
think
admin?
about it. I like it.
Thank you, Charlie. Can I go out through here?
Ask the team. All right. Who disagrees? Come on up. Thank you, my friend.
I need to turn in an essay.
I see all these hands of disagreements. I want to see them start to manifest. Yes.
Guys, stop
All right,
pushing. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
All right. In the meantime, who wants hats, everybody?
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Can you fix? Hi, Charlie. Welcome to Purdue. I'm Carson. Similar to what the man that was just up here that had the.
Sounds like Ojo time.
You know, Patriot Mobile stands for faith, family, and freedom. But did you know they have cutting-edge technology as well? America's small businesses rely on TikTok to succeed, helping them attract more customers and drive more growth.
I think that the MAGA fascists, I think you all are winning because you at least are trying to be consistent on the life issue. But what I'm saying is we need to be as progressive consistent. That's why I've got this petition here to get people to see that we must abolish child neglect laws if we're going to be consistent that it really is her body and her choice.
So I think you're doing a very good job exposing the hypocrisy of left. I could tell that this is a shtick, and I will say it's very effective, and I tend to agree with where you're trying to go. What he, they, them, whatever, is saying is the following, which is to abolish child neglect laws is the furthest extrapolation of a pro-abortion view.
Well, that's consistent.
Of course, no, and I don't know what you actually believe, but your satire can sometimes lead you towards truth, and you should show show the poster. What he's saying, in a way, is that in order for the left, he doesn't actually believe this. This is a shtick. Yeah,
okay,
got
if
it.
you say
Fine.
so.
Yeah, but what he's doing is trying to prove a point that if you are pro-choice, then therefore you should also get rid of child neglect laws because it means you actually don't care for the baby, whether it be in the womb or outside of the womb.
We are forcing women to use their bodies.
Sure, got it. So, very good. Thank you, and best of luck with your petition. Next question. Disagreements welcome, and that was quite a dialogue. Okay. All right, everyone, give it a minute here.
As much as I agree with being a progressive liberal, a lot of liberals do not associate with that person, and that sounds rude, but I just want to say that that is not the stance of a lot of liberals. However, my statement / question is, would you agree / disagree that the Make America movement, Make America Great movement, again, you know, MAGA movement, is a cult?
No. Why don't you explain to me and the audience what is a cult?
Of course. Okay. Do you know any characteristics of a cult?
Sure. I mean, you could take the Jonestown death cult, of which there was a charismatic leader that constantly lied people, and they took them out of everyday normal life and leads them towards ostracization and cutting off of family ties. Am I getting closer to describing
I will
the
read
Democrat
you,
Party?
According to the... No. What I'm talking about is MAGA. According to the Bethune Cook University website, characteristics of a cult include isolating members and criticizing them for leaving. Would you say that members of the MAGA movement will criticize others for leaving?
Well, yeah. I mean, but you guys criticize players that transfer out of the University of Tennessee football team. That's not a cult.
Okay, what about the absolute authoritarianism without meaningful accountability?
Okay, so what you're trying to say is that, like, what the leader says, the leader gets, basically?
Yes, Trump.
We have lots of disagreements in the MAGA movement. In fact, I'm more pro-life than the president is. In fact, a lot of people in this audience would have differing views maybe on where the president is at on Israel or Gaza or Ukraine or Russia. In fact, some people in this audience might say the president is not as pro-Second Amendment as they would like. I would argue that we actually have far more intellectual diversity in the MAGA movement than your traditional Democrat Party.
Break free with the new Opera GX, the browser that puts you in control with a brand new design that frees up even more pixels for personalization and an inventory of features to up your game at every level. Like GX Control to help rein in your resources with integrated limiters for RAM, CPU, and network. A sidebar for direct access to your favorite side quests, streams, and posts. And built-in privacy tools like ad and tracker blockers and free no-log VPN. Check into GX Corner for the latest news, deals, and free games. But what really makes our hit different is mods, giving you the power to change everything from animated wallpapers to themes, sounds, music, and shaders, so you can change everything. Get Opera GX.
I see where you're going with this and stating that not every person who, I guess, supports Trump is fully supportive of him, but I'm saying the MAGA movement who will agree with him no matter what.
Well, I actually think that there's more depth and complexity to the MAGA movement than you would imagine. A lot of people here who would consider themselves to be part of the MAGA movement, they won't blindly sign on to everything that Trump does. However, they will say that they agree with him 8 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 times. And so I would say, though, you know what was a cult? What was a cult is what we lived during COVID. During COVID, and allow me to build out the argument that no matter what the CDC or Anthony Fauci would say, you would have the little talking heads on television parrot it back, no matter how insane it was. We must close the schools, 6 feet to slow the spread, wear a mask while showering. Okay, I made that one up. But, I mean, the point being is that far more had characterizations of what a cult would be than the traditional Make America Great Again movement.
Okay, but you could also argue the side that Fox News does the exact same thing, where they just regurgitate everything that the right media is saying, and people on the right will believe anything Fox News says. And I'm not defending CNN. I'm not saying the Democratic Party is perfect. I'm just saying that there is a movement of conservative people who support Trump who will do it no matter what.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get to where you have come to this opinion. I'm trying to understand it because I see something completely different.
I do not use CNN as my news source, by the way, just so you know.
Good for you. Apparently you haven't been in an airport recently because the only people that watch CNN is if you're walking through an airport. So I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, and by your own definition of a cult.
It's not my own. It's a legitimate
fine. So let me ask you a question. A cult would probably convince people to do something that would be against their humanity. Would you agree?
Yes.
A cult would probably get people to do something that they know is wrong, even though they think they should do something is right.
Maybe, because some of these people are brainwashed into believing certain things that
For
they
sure.
don't actually agree with because they don't have the proper information
Got
on
it.
it.
So, for example, would you agree that when the Democrats sat during the State of the Union address to not applaud a kid with brain cancer, that is cult-like behavior? because their leader told
Right.
them not to do it. I mean,
well, who told them not to?
exactly. I mean, their leadership told
So
them.
who's their leader? If they're
Well,
a cult,
Chuck
then who's their
Schumer
leader?
or Hakeem Jeffries, they had strict orders: do not stand and applaud for anything Trump does. They told us this.
Yes.
And so then Trump says, hey, can we just have a moment of non-political? Here's DJ Daniel. He's dying of brain cancer. He's now a ceremonial member of the Secret Service. And every Democrat sat with their arms crossed, not even being able to show the humanity. I mean, that's a cult.
Okay. To respond to that, that is simply one example, and I'm sure you can pull a bunch other out. But, and I'm not saying that what the Democratic Party did that night was correct. I believe that what they were doing was standing against Trump's hypocrisy and his narcissism and his way of like making himself look good by using other people who are marginalized to make himself look good.
So here's my suggestion, and take it for whatever it's worth. Calling the opposition political movement a cult when the other one that you happen to be more allied with is obviously much more of a cult is not helpful.
Okay, then tell me. Tell me how it's a cult. Tell me how the Democratic Party
how
is a
about
cult
this?
compared to MAGA.
I'll give you another I mean, you asked me for more examples.
Yes.
The day of the State of the Union address, all 22 Democrat senators repeated the very same video on social media, mindlessly like robots.
What video?
The video where they said, something is effing out of control and this is not right. You guys all saw that video. Repeating the same incantation with not even like an iota of creativity or ingenuity, like just repeating it like as if they've been hypnotized into a... Got it.
I have not seen that video.
Well, you should. But again, I'm not even the one that is up here throwing around the cult word towards the Democrat Party. I just think it's a supremely rich accusation to say the MAGA movement is part of a cult, when evidently, based on the own standard that you put forward, the Democrat Party embodies those characteristics far more than Republicans or conservatives ever have or ever will.
So one of the main aspects of a cult is a leader, a charismatic leader that people will follow blindly no matter what.
In Albion, no matter where you go or what you do, your mount will accompany you on your journey. Perhaps you'll pick the ox, a merchant's best friend. It can carry anything you throw at it. Anything. Okay, maybe not that much. Or the fearless armored horse. It doesn't mind riding even into certain death. And in case you want to cosplay as the ultimate edgelord, we've got just the right mount for you. Perhaps you prefer a more peaceful life, that of a gatherer. This deer will help you haul your resources. Just look at these strong legs. If you're unfortunate enough to encounter this beast, honestly, just run. Or go with a cat like everyone else. It's cute, I get it. Whatever your style or what you do in the game, Albion Online has the right companion for you.
University? At your age? Do be serious. They're all going to laugh at you, dear girl. You'll never get in. Anyway, you're far too busy with all this.
Unlike your inner critic, Arden University takes a more positive view with flexible degree courses and the support you need to succeed. Start your degree at any age. Silence your inner critic. Search Arden University to learn more.
The leader of the MAGA movement is Trump. Who are you stating the leader of the Democratic Party is that people will follow blindly without questioning no matter what?
Well, I mean, there's...
And I'm hearing tons of different examples, so that can just tell you there's not one.
Okay, again, so it could be Obama, it could be Rachel Maddow. I mean, the point being is that I don't even think it's the strongest argument to call either party a cult. That's not why I'm up here. I'm simply just playing the same frequency that you're coming at, that based on the definition, the Democrat Party is far more mindless and far more of a Borg, to use a Star Trek analogy, than the Republican Party or the conservative movement. And so, but here's something I do want to ask, though. If you are positing that it is a cult, do you think this entire audience is part of a cult and they don't realize it?
I think that my statement was the Make America Great Again movement is a cult. I'm not saying the conservative party is. I'm saying the far-right MAGA movement is a cult. I will say that I believe in my heart that there are certain people in this group who could be characterized as someone who is in a cult.
Okay. I mean, I think that's insane. And I'm not here to give Democrats advice, but it's so destructive to our politics to call people that just won a national electoral landslide and the national popular vote as part of a cult. Maybe instead it should be, maybe they have better ideas than we do.
Maybe they just... Maybe they had billions of dollars to put into their campaign funding that got them the awareness.
Hold on. I mean, you seem well-intentioned. So who spent more money in this election, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? It's not even close. It's 3-1 more money was spent by Kamala and her affiliated super PACs than Donald Trump.
Do you have the numbers?
Yeah, you can go to opensecrets.org. You can look at all the outside groups, the hard money that Kamala raised, the super PACs that they raised. Democrats, by the way, do you know that 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in America vote Democrat? Do you know the wealthier you are in America, the more likely you are to be a member of the Democrat Party? That the more, if you work with your hands and you don't graduate from college, that you're less likely to be a Democrat. Now, one of your, fellow cult members just screamed at me from the audience saying, well, that's because, they're so educated. Do never conflate everybody, credentials with an education. Just because you have a lot of degrees does not mean you have the most important thing, wisdom. Wisdom is different than a credential. Now, I can tell that you're coming after this from a good perspective. So my last homework assignment for you is this. I want you to go find 5 people with a MAGA hat once this event is over and talk to them. And then I want you to say what you said to me. I want you to first accuse them of being in a cult, because if you can say it to me, you can say it to them.
Sure.
And then I want you to have a good faith conversation, because we are not going to bring this country together, of which is actually our goal here as part of the MAGA movement, which is why we have an open mic. If you go around accusing people as if we're following Charlie Manson.
You just did the same thing to me.
Well, in all fairness, I said if this is the standard of our dialogue right now, the Democrat Party is far more of a cult than the Republican Party. That is not a contention that I throw around lightly, but it is, you satisfy the requirements way more than the MAGA movement does.
You haven't asked me enough questions to know that.
Well, that has nothing to do with what I've said.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
you haven't asked me if I would blindly follow some leader of the Democratic Party, which is no, I would only follow if I do the in-depth research of an unbiased source to get my information, and then I base my opinion off of that.
Fair enough. Can you give me an example of an unbiased source?
I mean, like Mayo Clinic or just like any EDU source of college information.
I'll end this. If that's your idea of a biased source,
Off the top of my head.
I would encourage you to dig deeper and be more of a free thinker.
And I will, and I am a free thinker. And I grew up in a conservative household, and once I left my parents and their beliefs, and I moved to college in a very conservative state, I actually become more progressive.
Okay, and so how is your relationship with your parents?
I mean, it's fine. We don't agree on most things, but...
Wait, so they didn't kick you out for having a different opinion? They're terrible cult members. Wait, they still love you for who you are, and do they pay your tuition?
Nope.
Okay,
I pay my own tuition. I pay everything on my own.
Well, good. Then they're even better parents. They make you pay for your own stuff. The point, so you can't even point to your own family as being part of a cult. They still love you. They still talk to you.
I would go as far to say, and if they're watching this, I do believe that my parents are in a cult. But
do you understand how damaging that is? To go around to say the people who raised you and nurtured you and brought you into the world, that you're a cult because some professor told me the definition of a cult in an anthropology course.
Nope. You're wrong.
All right. Thank you.
It was nice to talk to you, though.
Thank you for your time.
Save time creating content and generate a high-quality clone of your voice with 11 Labs. Change the way you record podcasts, voiceovers, and branded content with the #1 AI-powered voice-generating technology. Stop searching for the perfect voice and stop wasting time re-recording take after take. Try 11 Labs for free and start elevating your content today.
Out of stock again? You're losing money every day. This happens. Stop guessing and start forecasting. StockTrim helps manufacturers like you reduce stockouts, automate planning, and increase margins. Get real-time demand forecasts. Plan ahead with AI. Start your free trial now. No credit card needed.
Okay. Silence.
Hi, so I'm not technically, I don't go to UT, and I'm not the legal age to vote yet, and my parents are divorced, and both of my parents have separate political views. My mom's conservative, and my dad's a liberal, and my mom is always kind of pushing me to bring politics into my life, and I was wondering, A, should I care, and if I should, why, and which parent should I lean more towards?
Got it. So did you say mom's liberal?
Mom's conservative.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's the opposite I would have thought. Okay, so I see you have a shirt here that says, whom shall I send? Here I am, right?
Yes.
Which I love. That is the Hebrew word Hineni, which appears many times throughout the scriptures. When Abraham, the binding of Isaac, Moses at the burning bush, the call of Isaiah, the call of Samuel. Every believer here in the audience, by the way, the most important thing is to bring Jesus into your life. Let me just make sure I say that. Most important thing. It's way more important than politics. It's the most important thing.
Amen.
And so I encourage every believer out here to learn what that word Hineni means. It means, Lord, use me, send me. And I could tell you're probably going through a trial right now because your parents are separate and it's not easy. So the scriptures are very clear about this. Christianity has a heavy emphasis on honoring your parents. Now, to contrast that with the prior questioner, I don't think she's doing a good job of honoring her parents because she's accusing them of being in a cult.
Yeah.
Even, this is very important, everybody, even if your parents share values and views and a worldview that you do not have, you are biblically obligated to honor them, which means to spend time with them and to love on them and to go visit them. Even if they are wearing a Black Lives Matter and in this home that we have no hate and trans lives, you still go and spend time with your parents. Because if you are incapable, in this case, of honoring your earthly father, you will never honor your heavenly father. And it's very clear in the 10 Commandments, and then I'll get down to the specific advice. In the 10 Commandments, it is the only commandment, honor your mother and father so that you may live long in the land of which you are in. It is the only commandment that deals with a promise and your country. You will cease to have a strong country, America, if we do not have kids honoring their parents. Everyone out there, every day, you should call your parents on a weekly basis. I know college exists a lot of the times to separate children from the parents. They want to try to separate you from your upbringing. Your parents aren't cool, they don't understand you, they don't share your values. The closer that you stay with your parents, even though you have disagreements, the better you will be and your nation will be. Now, to your personal advice, find out what you believe and why you believe it. If a parent ever tells you to do something that is sinful or goes against God, that is a violation of what it means to honor them. It doesn't mean you have to blindly obey them, but you must honor them, which really means to treat them heavily, basically to treat that with a lot of weight. I would instead be close to both of them. It's a very difficult situation. You're going to grow up a lot quicker because of it, and come to your own independent political views and let them be known to each appropriate parent.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard. So how would I express the different views to, say, my mom or my dad?
Well, your view should be the same regardless of who you're talking to. So I think you're not old enough yet to vote, so you're still searching. So instead, I wouldn't even take strong political views. I would say, Mom and Dad, I don't want to talk politics. I just want to talk the Bible. It's not a political thing. It's a biblical thing. That would be my advice to you. So every time it comes up, like, oh, you should support Trump. Oh, you should hate Trump. Say, you know what? Can we just talk things from Scripture? Always go back to fundamental Scripture when you're talking to your parents. And when you do that, it can be very disarming. And then you both have something to appeal to. You have a greater truth that then you're able to look at, appeal to, and hopefully, get you through this difficult chapter. God bless you. You want a hat?
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you.
Hey, how's that New Year's resolution going? What are you talking about? You know, that YouTube channel you say you're gonna start? Well, yeah, I'd like to, but editing's really hard, and coming up with a thumbnail stresses me out, and thinking of content ideas. I don't do any of that. I use TubeBuddy. Tube what? TubeBuddy. It does everything for you. SEO optimization, helps you with your thumbnail, video topic planner. Well, I have ideas. Yeah, but TubeBuddy gives you niche insights, which means that they know which topics actually get views. And get this, TubeBuddy's related video manager allows me to link my videos across all of my shorts instantly. Instantly! TubeBuddy has everything. It helps creators like you start your YouTube channel and stay consistent so you can actually follow through on your New Year's resolution. Wow, this is so awesome. I had no idea TubeBuddy existed. I'm gonna go try it today.
We are Gemini, where the world buys Bitcoin. We make buying, selling, and storing crypto easy. Be in control of your money with no delays, fast trading, and withdrawals. Gemini is a secure place for your crypto. Set automated recurring buys and easily buy with British pounds. Whether you are new to crypto or building your portfolio, the Gemini app is for you. Install Gemini now and start trading today.
Who has a disagreement? Anybody? Yes, ma'am. We'll go here, and then we'll go to... Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Step forward a little bit.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? Hi, how are you? So, my name is Talise. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I'm technically a Democrat, but I have very conservative views because I'm faith-based all the way. So I have a question, which is also kind of a disagreement, but I want to build it up, okay? So, of course, you just said Jesus is the most important thing for everyone out here. And so can you please explain to everyone out here what Jesus stood for, and especially the qualities of love, how to love your neighbor even if they don't agree with you?
So what is your name again?
Talise.
Talise, that's a beautiful question. I'm glad you came up to ask it. But I want to also just add something, because you're right. Jesus fully embodied two things simultaneously that showed his divine and his godly nature, because not that Jesus said good things. Jesus is Lord, Christ is King, and Jesus is God, on top of just being a guy with a lot of good ideas. Yeah. So John 8, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, best embodies both Christ's mercy and love, but also his commitment to truth. And sometimes in the modern gospel, we overemphasize the grace and we underemphasize the truth.
Yeah.
And so we are far too willing to say, hey, Jesus loves everybody, but we don't get to the second part of the conversation that says Jesus doesn't want you to live in sin. So this is, in John 8, it's best embodied, right? Almost every Christian in this audience will be able to tell you the first part of this, which is a bunch of Sadducees and Pharisees who are standing around with rocks, and they're about to stone the prostitute woman. And Jesus comes up and says, let the first among you without sin cast the first stone. And everyone starts dropping the rocks. But what comes next shows that Christ is not just grace-focused, he's simultaneously truth-focused. He goes up to the woman who had a career in selling herself for sex and said, sin no more. Now, imagine today how much trouble you would get in if you would go up to somebody and say, stop sinning. Oh, you're being too judgmental. No, you're actually being Christ-like. So Jesus stood. He was 100% grace and truth. And that tension is very hard in a modern world because we want to overemphasize grace when in reality Christ loves us too much to have us continue to live in sin. He wants us to try to elevate our actions to glorify God in all that we do.
I agree 100%. And so to build on my question, I really want to talk about DEI. And so with our Christian, I will agree with you a lot of, I read the Bible for myself, so I knew what that scripture said. But my question is, how can Christian teachings on love, equity, and justice inform and shape discussions on diversity, equity, and inclusion in today's society? And so to also, Jesus hung out with sinners. He did not judge. He told the truth. And so I think that a lot of people in society today, when we talk about political views that are opposition, we judge them because we think, oh, because you voted for Trump, you agree on everything, when that's not the case, right? And I want you to talk about that. Also
Very
with
good.
DEI.
So and then I'll connect it to DEI, and I'm going to make a case, and I don't know if it'll be persuasive to you, why I think DEI is unbiblical, and I'm going to try to make that case, okay?
Yeah.
But first, let me comment on your astute point, which is that Christ wants us to be around people that are not like us. This is why I go to college campuses, but more and more I go to college campuses and I'm getting a lot of big crowds. So it's kind of unusual. I used to go here and get heckled and have very small crowds. But let me demonstrate this in an unusual way. Almost every person in this audience would say Christ wants us to be salt and light. Now, what are the two characteristics of salt and light? They change the environments that they come in contact with. Yes. They do not affirm. They do not conform. They change for the better. That's very important, everybody. We as Christians are called to change the environment that we come in touch with. Now, as far as DEI and why I believe it's unbiblical, now I'm going to go down to just the academic textbook definition of DEI. Okay. You might have a different idea of what DEI is. You might have a different perspective. I'm willing to hear that. But the actual textbook definition, as authored by people like Kimberly Crenshaw and Derek Bell, as it came out of critical theory, is essentially this, is that instead of having a goal of race blindness, they want a goal of race obsession and race consciousness, that we should talk about race more, not less. I believe the scriptures tell us firmly in many different verses that I could quote, but one in particular, when the Apostle Paul wrote, he said, neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, but we are all one in Christ Jesus. Essentially stating that racial differences are indifferent, or mean nothing to the Almighty God. All that matters to God is not black or white or Republican or Democrat. It's saved or unsaved are the only things that matter to Christ Jesus. So therefore, and let me finish the point, what DEI does through hiring practices, racial quotas, and many other different ways that I could list, is that it has an emphasis on things that the Bible does not categorize as important. In fact, it says the exact opposite, that we should only care about character and the soul of an individual, not the melanin content in their skin.
So I agree. Well, I actually don't agree, because in Acts 2, it talks about how when the Holy Spirit came upon the apostles and when the Holy Spirit came into the region, that a lot of people who spoke different tongues, that they could understand each other. And I think when we talk about the Bible and we talk about the spread of the gospel, you see that these people are going to different regions, not only learning about their culture, but adapting so that they could, again, spread the gospel. And I think that it's important. And I think people get confused that DEI is only about race. It's about learning somebody's background. I'm not from a state. I'm from a territory. DC is not a state. However, DC is majority black. But black experience in DC is completely different from black experience in the South. So if you're going to stereotype a black person, you can't, because black people, I would say people everywhere, a white person from the North is different from a white person from the South. So it's about talking to people and learning different perspectives, and I think the removal of DEI doesn't do that.
Okay, so I don't want to debate it too much. I will say that...
But that was my perspective.
Fine, and I'm happy to send you a lot more literature to look at it. What DEI means in practice is the vehement, hostile treatment of white, straight men to no longer be in institutions and to be actively discriminated against. You don't have to agree on that, but that's what it looks like in practice. Is that, and I will prove this allow me to prove this in the best way I can. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but
Do you want to build your own AI model? With Cloudflare, we have the tools to help. R2 is our S3 compatible distributed object storage product. It's fast and easy for data sharing across clouds. It's perfect for storing your AI training data and your user content platform. Pay only for what you use with no egress fees. This is just step 1. For steps 2, 3, and more, check out our developer platform and get building at cloudflare.com.
Do you think, Friedrich Nietzsche used to say that every society has a central piety that you cannot touch, something you're not allowed to make fun of. Are you allowed to make fun of white men or black people more easily in America?
You shouldn't do either.
Which one will get you fired?
Making fun of a black man.
Okay, so, but what if you make fun of a white person? Will that get you fired?
It could get you fired too.
Probably not. Actually, it'll probably get you a professorship at your local university. You know I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know.
What I'm getting at is that the influence of DEI have actually inverted the piety away from the promise of what MLK said, which was race blindness, towards race obsession. What you are talking about is very admirable, which is understanding people's backgrounds. We're just going to not even disagree. I don't necessarily have time to build out what DEI has meant in practice. And what the problem with DEI is it's taken a lot of well-meaning people like you and then taken you along to support it, when in practice it's something completely and totally different. But here's something I will encourage you to do as a Christian. Care less about people's shared racial experience and look at them instead of just as their soul, as God made them. We should try to strive towards a blinder race nation, not one that talks about skin color all the time.
I agree 100%.
And I think DEI does make us talk about skin color more.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much. Very sweet question. Thank you. Yes, sir. And the student question goes to, I'm kidding.
Yes, I'm sort of crashing the party, but I was invited up here by a student. Okay, so I'm glad to be an American. I'm glad to live in this country. As far as I know, there's no better country. And part of that is that we don't prosecute people for things they did before it was illegal. Now, my question is, well, first off, I'll state the law is to, first off, inform people. Secondly, persuade them. And thirdly, to
You're going to talk about pro-life laws and potentially criminalizing women that get abortions, right?
Right. And my question
no,
is
I'm
why,
10 steps ahead of you. Got it. So let me tell you my position, because we only have so much time, right?
My question for you is, why are you against abolition?
Okay, no. So actually, I am for the abolition of abortion. But let me tell you why I personally say if an abortion law was passed, I don't think it would, A, be the right thing under the current way that abortion is practiced in America to say that if a woman gets an abortion, she should then go to jail. Let me tell you why. It's because the way abortion is practiced in this country, women are not given informed consent. They do not know a lot of times what they are doing when they get an abortion. Now, that it's a very important distinction. In order to criminalize somebody, you need, in the criminal statute, not the civil statute, you need intent, right?
Right.
So,
and the law would cover that.
Yes, so this is I think, a largely unhelpful, very far distant hypothetical that does a couple things. Not only do I disagree with it, but individuals like yourself are going around saying that we should put women in prison if they get abortions.
And there's nothing that says what the punishment would be.
Okay, but however, let me just pause and say, how about first, can we at least agree the people doing the abortions, like the abortionists, they should go to federal prison for the rest of their life. We can agree on that. And so I don't want to spend too much time on this. My perspective is very simple, that if you do not have informed consent, then I have a very hard time using the criminal code to go after an individual.
Our justice system doesn't work like that. If there was not intent, then the justice system says you weren't a criminal.
Okay, then we agree then. Then therefore it shouldn't go after those individuals. If you can't prove intent, then it should not go after those individuals.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time. I got to get to the next question.
Right.
Thank
but
you.
We should have laws against it.
Thank you very much. Who has a disagreement? Anybody? You have a Trump hat on, but yeah, you got a rainbow shirt. How about you? So yeah, I'm kidding.
Billy String
No,
shirt.
I'm kidding.
But, okay.
I'm giving you a hard time. Thank you, and everyone please be respectful.
All right, Charlie, I have a question for you. So, as a Christian, how do you justify campaigning for someone who was found civilly liable for sexual abuse?
Well, first of all, we as conservatives believe that that was like a Moscow show trial. It made no sense. How much about the trial do you know?
I've read some of the witness transcripts.
Yeah. So the main accuser is a woman by the name of
E. Jean Carroll.
Yeah, exactly. And she said the following: "A rape is sexy." She said that on air, right? She couldn't remember the time, the date, or the year that the incident happened. And even Anderson Cooper said this is not a credible witness that should be taken seriously. But let's pretend you're right, because I don't want to get too far into the details. But let's pretend that President Trump was guilty of sexual abuse. Is there any example of somebody in the Bible that was guilty of doing something bad that still was after God's own heart?
Once upon a time, you were playing games just for fun. Now you can play and earn gift cards. With free cash, your favorite games turn into real rewards. Play, earn, repeat.
Guys, it's that easy. Download free cash now and start earning while you play.
This is the Bible Belt, but yes, the question is for you.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well, David would be the most obvious. So how much do you know about the example of David and Bathsheba? Probably not a lot, right? So David one day woke up and he was in charge of the Israeli army. I believe it was Uriah, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, right? And Uriah was like the head infantry commander. Uriah had a wife, very beautiful, by the name of Bathsheba. Bathsheba woke up one day and was very provocatively showering for all to see, and David lustfully said, "I want that." In fact, not only did he say did he want that, he then commissioned Uriah to the front lines of a battle to then basically get Uriah killed, basically saying, "I'm going to kill your husband so that I could be with Bathsheba." He does that, he dies, he then weeps terribly, and God even draws him closer to him in this very, very difficult, mysterious story. A second example, of course, would be Samson. Samson is found in the book of Hebrews in the Hall of Faith. Samson lived such a colorful life that God came to him when he was in a prostitute's bed. But God called Samson for a purpose greater than his and used the jaw of a donkey to go kill, thousands of Philistines. What I'm getting at is we are all sinners that fall short of the glory of God, and God can use imperfect vessels for righteous and good causes, of which I think he used Donald Trump to help save the country.
Okay. So you said that, so you think the court case was a witch hunt?
Yes, I think that case was absolutely a witch hunt. And
were the jurors, specifically the ones who found Tim liable, were they part of that?
Well, so it's very important that this was a civil case, not a criminal case. This never reached the threshold where any criminal prosecutor wanted to bring this because they thought the evidence was so shoddy. But yes, the jurors got this wrong because they were all suffering from Trump derangement syndrome.
Really?
This was a New York City-based jury, and of course
who picked the jury?
They were New York City based.
Well, yeah, but who picked the jury?
Well,
Trump's lawyer.
Well, no, that's not true. They have input on the jury selection. But they get 3 strikes. Those strikes were used. The judge was hardly fair. Again, I'm happy to go into all the individual minutes, but let's use reason. Can I be a little provocative on this for a second, guys? Okay. And I'm gonna try to prove you wrong using a little provocation, and I'm gonna be politically incorrect. Is that okay? All right. Trigger warning. Okay. So let me understand this. Here is the world's wealthiest man, one of the world's wealthiest men, worth like $10 billion. He's got a show on the NBC Apprentice. He's literally married to a supermodel. He can have any woman on the world. And I'm supposed to believe at 2 p.m. in a Tiffany's store, he walks in and rapes E. Jean Carroll, who is not exactly a supermodel, and risks his entire fortune of which there is no accusation for 20 years, but he pops up and runs for the president, and all of a sudden she says, this guy raped me, even though I can't remember the day, the month, the year, 2 p.m. in a department store at Tiffany's while he was at the height of his career. I'm sorry, that's complete rubbish and political nonsense.
Well, so there was a law in New York up until 2022, before 2022, or during 2022, there was a law passed called the Abuser, I can't remember the name, Protection Act or something like that. And it removed the statute of limitation, which was 1 year for civil cases for sexual abuse. So that's how she had to wait so long until 2022.
But she did not voice the accusation publicly till he ran for president, which she did in 2017, 2018. Second, the trial itself was financed by Democrat donors. Thirdly, this is such a superfluous conversation. He's president of the United States. He won. We won. The American people saw this and did not care. So maybe we could talk about issues that are happening right now, not some fake accusation from 30 years ago.
Okay.
University? At your age? Do be serious. They're all going to laugh at you, dear girl. You'll never get in. Anyway, you're far too busy with all this.
Unlike your inner critic, Arden University takes a more positive view with flexible degree courses and the support you need to succeed. Start your degree at any age. Silence your inner critic. Search Arden University to learn more.
When PCs powered by Intel perform at 55% when unplugged, it's like your whole team does.
I got you. PCs powered by Snapdragon X series. Max performance when unplugged.
Cool. The max performance that you deserve.
Anyone disagreements? Yes, ma'am. Again, anyone in the crowd, you can work your way up if you disagree. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I have two main points I want to talk about. So first off, I want to know your opinion on January 6th and the pardoning of... Okay.
No, that's a legitimate question.
Okay.
The pardoning's a legitimate question.
What's your opinion on that?
Everyone should be pardoned.
Okay, here is my thing I'm going to say about that. My father is a police officer, so if you're saying that someone injures him or kills him in the line of duty, I should support pardoning them?
So actually, that's not my position. My position is very simple.
You just said your position is everyone should be pardoned.
Well, hold on. Allow me to finish. I said everyone should be pardoned, but not because of what they were accused of doing, because they were deprived of due process. And here's the kicker, that the January 6th defendants were put in pretrial detention for nearly 2 years, many of whom were not given attorney representation. One attorney in particular made his defendant go watch videos saying that MAGA is brainwashing you and say, go unbrainwash yourself before the trial. A complete violation of the 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment. What I'm getting at, though, is that would you agree with the premise that if the tree is rotten, the fruit will be rotten?
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Well, it's a metaphor.
No, my turn. So I
didn't
want to
hear what you
know.
said, yeah.
I want to know if you think that what they did, storming the Capitol, in your opinion, is that right or wrong? Yes or no?
Well, it depends.
Yes or no?
So they were only
yes or no?
peacefully
Yes or
storming
no?
the Capitol. Hold on a second.
Please just yes
Peacefully.
or no. That's yes or no.
Well,
Do you agree
hold on a
that
second.
it's a good thing that they did or a bad thing?
Can I?
Yes or no?
Can you?
You can answer yes or no.
Well, yes, and I'm answering it. Yes, because not everybody did that. So, for example, Siaka Massaquoi took 3 feet into the Capitol, said a prayer, and went out. Do you agree he should be hunted down by federal officials for 3 years and face 10 years in federal prison? Yes or no? Yes or no? Answer. Yes or no? Okay, so you say yes. Got it. So, but however, I think what happened on January 6th, there was a lot of stuff I don't support. However, they were treated so terribly by our own government as political prisoners. Here is the truth. Even if you go do something as evil as shoot up a school, you deserve 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment protection rights. These January 6th defendants did not get their basic constitutional rights protected. They literally had to sleep on the ground of the D.C. jail as January 6th gulags. You look at these pictures, they had to go sleep on the floor with no food for days acting as if that this was some sort of Moscow internment camp. What President Trump did was very simple. This was a statement towards the justice system. You guys did not treat these people, who some of which did very bad things, with basic constitutional due process rights. It was a pardon wiping the slate clean, saying even the person who does the grossest thing should be able to have the same rights of due process and the presumption of innocence of somebody who did absolutely nothing wrong. That's the position of the pardons.
So exactly what you just said to me, I'm going to use your words. If someone shoots up a school, they should be pardoned if they do not get due process.
No. I said if someone shoots up a school, they deserve a lawyer. And someone shoots...
But if they do not get one, they should be pardoned.
Hold on. That's not what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying.
No,
if someone
shoots up a school, they deserve to have a lawyer the same way as if someone runs a traffic light. This is a basic human right. And these January 6th defendants did not have their human rights respected by the Biden Department of Justice. That is what these pardons are all about. It's not about the merits of what they did or did not do. Many of which, by the way, is largely exaggerated because 1,000 people peacefully walked into the people's house, said prayers, took pictures, and walked out. And the FBI sent on them as if they're narco drug criminals and cartel members. Many of them did absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, the police actually showed them around the interior of the Capitol. Many of the police officers said, hey, would you like to go look in this part of the Capitol? Would you like to look in this part of the Capitol? By the way, how many police officers were actually killed on that day?
Big Bong, excuse me. It is funny, yeah.
Get in on the jokes with comedy on Audible.
Is it peaceful to hurt a police officer? Is that what you're saying?
I don't support...
You're saying
of course,
it's peaceful to hurt police officers
only a couple
and give them
dozen
mental
out of the
trauma
1,800...
that they will have for the rest of their life. That's peaceful, is what you're saying.
36 individuals out of 1,800 criminal indictments actually laid hands on a police officer.
But they should be pardoned, is what you're saying.
Not because of what they did or they were accused of, because they were never given a fair hearing. Let me give an example. A young man who was part of the scuffle pushed back on somebody that he did not know was a police officer. He was facing 15 years in federal prison and never had an opportunity to defend himself in federal court because his lawyer sucked and the judge hated him and he was never given due process or the opportunity to look at what is a very basic constitutional right, look at all of the January 6th footage, which many of which is still under seal. So what the pardon is actually a pardon saying our justice system will never be perverted for political aims again. I'm not saying I support the attacking of police officers. I am saying we must keep the American justice system the best on the planet, unlike what Joe Biden and Merrick Garland did the last 4 years. Thank you.
I have another question.
Okay.
So, how many phases are in the menstrual cycle? Do you know?
Well, I'm not a woman, so enlighten me.
So there's 4 stages of the menstrual cycle, okay? Ovulation, follicular, I'm gonna go in order. Menstruation, follicular, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During which of those phases can a woman be pregnant? When can she get pregnant? Which of those phases?
During ovulation.
And luteal, yes. So I already know the answer to this question.
But yeah.
So I know the answer to this question. Have you ever had a menstrual cycle before?
No.
Okay, great. So knowing that, and you just saying, I don't know the phases of the menstrual cycle, which I don't blame you for being, you don't have that. So then, knowing this, you don't know everything about the female reproductive system, how are you going to make legislation to hurt women and women's rights?
Are men allowed to have opinions on abortion?
You can have opinions on abortion, but what I'm saying is, how are these men going to create this legislation?
Got it. So, men are allowed to have opinion on moral matters too, right?
Right.
Got it. So if I was a male OBGYN, is it okay for that person to make issues of legislation?
Well, they're educated. They understand. They are educated on the female reproductive system, so they can.
So if I don't know everything intimately about the female reproductive system, sit down and shut up, you're a man.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You can have an opinion.
That's kind of what
It's all right if you have an opinion. I'm saying it's not all right if you don't understand how the female reproductive system works.
Let's pop quiz. When does heartbeats begin for babies in utero?
Have you ever eaten an egg before? That's yes or no. Have you ever eaten an egg before?
Scrambled, yeah.
Okay, so would that be you scrambled a full chicken?
Well, hold on. You understand that it takes an egg to be fertilized?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Your point, the whole point you're making, is
hold on.
that
So,
a
but no,
baby...
since we're doing pop quiz on like human development, so when exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
You know that, but you don't know the four
Hold on, no,
cycles.
so tell me when heartbeat.
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
No.
So wait, hold on. So you're trying to say I know more about the woman reproductive system than you do?
I am a woman, so yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, but the point being is we could both go back and forth of like independent trivial facts when it comes to the woman's reproductive system. But here's something we all know, because God wrote this on the human heart of every individual, as it says in the book of Romans. We know deep down it's wrong to murder a baby.
You're not murdering a baby. It's not a baby.
Okay, well, let's play this out. What is it then?
It is an embryo, which is not a baby.
Well, okay, so it's a fertilized embryo.
Correct, which is not a baby.
So at what point does it become a baby?
When it is born.
Oh.
I don't agree with abortions up to full-term abortions.
Well, hold on, but you said it becomes a baby when it's born.
Yes.
Then why would you have abortion limits before it's born? I thought it's just an embryo. So embryo rights?
No, the embryo rights aren't a
But
thing.
then
because it's not
where
a
would you
person.
draw a line for abortion then, and why, and under what moral standard?
There are medical reasons not to have an abortion
No,
for
that's
full
not the
term.
question. That's not
Yes,
the
it is.
question.
You just asked me why would I not have an abortion full term for medical reasons.
Okay, so at 29 weeks, the baby is nearly fully developed, can recognize the mother's voice, has a heartbeat, has brain waves. Is it okay to abort that baby?
I don't, like, it's not okay, but you're going to say it's okay to have an abortion then. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. It's not okay to have an abortion ever? How
Correct.
about, like, 3
Yes.
weeks in?
Correct. No abortion. Correct.
Why?
Well, because your life started at conception.
It did not, though. It
Well-
did not.
Well, hold on. So let's play this out. So who are you as an individual? From your skin color to your eye color to your likes, your dislikes, from your temperament to your everything.
I am not an embryo. I'm a person.
Hold on a second. But it started with something called deoxyribonucleic acid. And your own individual DNA started at the point of egg and sperm meeting. That's where your journey started. And so from that point in particular, life begins. Not at birth, not at first words, not at first steps, but when your DNA, which is who you actually are. You are your DNA. Every one of your DNA cells is coded XX or XY. It's coded with all of your unique characteristics and attributes that we believe God individually curated for the rest of your life. That doesn't happen at 8 weeks or 10 weeks. It happens at conception.
What happens if you need a medical abortion? If the mother will die if she does not get an abortion? What's your stance on that?
The only place where medical abortion is necessary is before 20 weeks, which is incredibly rare.
What if she will die? What if the mother
Hold on
will
a second.
die?
So let's take, for example, like this is a very important question. Let's say it's 27 weeks, okay? And the mother will die. Why shouldn't, you could agree, why don't we just have the baby delivered by cesarean section? You know what a cesarean section is, right?
Yes.
What is a cesarean
A
section?
C-section?
Yeah, why wouldn't we just put the baby out by C-section instead of terminating it?
Did you know that your favorite productivity solutions are 75% off for eligible nonprofits? Power your nonprofit with access to Teams, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, and more. Plus, simple device management and best-in-class security to connect people and information. With Microsoft 365, you can improve cybersecurity, reduce costs, empower work from anywhere. Get started at Microsoft.com/nonprofits.
Is that good? Did somebody say just be?
Because if the mother will die, it's not safe to do that.
You remove the baby.
I understand.
Threat removed.
I know what a C-section
But
is.
it's actually safer than an abortion. So every time they say, this is for you guys, they say, oh, you need to have abortion for medical reasons, respond, then have a C-section.
What if you're not able to have a C-section? What if you are on your deathbed, you need to have an abortion right now?
Well, again, but...
And it's illegal. You
guess what?
can't, so you have to die.
First and foremost, C-section is safer, C-section is quicker, and a C-section saves both lives. A C-section
The
takes...
baby is already dead, you just said.
No, but even... No. Hold on a second. You're saying if the baby's already dead, then it isn't even an abortion. right, then you're talking about a removal of a carcass, which is a completely different medical operation.
So you're saying that's okay if you're
Well,
having.
If you're hold on. If you're removing a carcass of a baby, that is not an abortion, by definition.
It's the same process.
No, it's completely different. During an abortion, they actually inject the spinal fluid with cyanide poisoning as the baby squirms and tries to find its mother, and it is gasping for air of life. Have you ever watched an abortion? It is one of the. Yeah, actually I have. And I encourage every human being to watch one to know what you are fighting against. Because when you see abortion, you will have your life will be changed. That we allow the massacre of 1.5 million babies a year under the guise of woman reproductive health. We are allowing babies every single year to just say, you know, we're going to discard them. Why? Oh, they're smaller. They're not humans. You're using dehumanizing language saying, oh, it's an embryo. No, that's a baby. Made in the image of God, deserving of protection.
What do you do with those children once they're born into a bad household?
So now we've transitioned to, like, what do you do with the kids?
Right.
Glad we're past the other part of the argument, okay? What do you do with them? You know there's twice as many people on the adoption waiting list than there are abortions every single year?
And they're still on the list. So you want to send a child into an orphanage?
Well,
is that what you want for a child? Is that a good life for a child?
No, I'm not advocating that. In fact, I'm advocating to make it easier to be able to adopt, number one. Number two, there's no such thing as an unwanted child. Number three, it is never right to justify the mass elimination or termination of people under the guise of saying they're unwanted. That's how we get Auschwitz. That's how we get the greatest horrors of the 20th century. Those people are unwanted.
So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
It's really not. I don't
It's
think
45 million babies. It's nearly 8 times worse than the Holocaust. What's the moral difference between a small baby in the womb and a grown Jew who was killed at Auschwitz? What's the moral difference? One is older?
Is a person?
What species is the baby in the womb?
It's a human, but
therefore they should have human rights.
No.
They should have human rights.
I do not agree.
Oh, so small humans no human rights, grown humans human rights.
It's not a small human, it's an embryo.
You just said it was a human species.
It's not a living human child.
Wait, it's not a what?
It's not a child.
But
it's not a living child.
It has a heartbeat. It has brain
that does
waves.
not make it a child.
But tell me when it becomes a child then.
I already told you, when it is born.
Again, so under every other objective definition, you see guys how quickly the pro-abortion arguments fall apart with just the slightest questioning? But our position is one rooted not in feelings, not in personal autonomy, but one in biological consistency and reality. That your life had an agreed upon starting point, that starting point should be protected and preserved. And the excuses given for abortion is dehumanization. Oh, it's just an embryo. Guys, that's just using different language to justify the massacre of something smaller than you. That's all that it is. So here are the big objections. Size. It's smaller than me, then I should be able to get rid of it. I'm 6'5". Should I be able to murder people smaller than me? Of course not. You don't believe that. Level of development. Oh, it's not as progressed as, this is your argument. It's not as progressed as we are, therefore we have rights over it. So my 10-month-old baby, why should I not be able to eliminate my 10-month-old baby?
I have another question for you. On the line of this, you will never be able to have an abortion, right? You will never be able to have an abortion. You will not, okay? It's a fact. Everyone knows that, okay? I'm not debating that at all.
Okay, make it quick. You can tell the audience is... Yeah, but go. Yeah.
If I were to be pregnant right now and forced to have a baby, that would ruin my life.
This is an important question. Hold on. Time out. So rape and incest are less than 0.5% of all abortions.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking if I just happen to be pregnant.
Oh, you don't happen to get pregnant. It's not like getting COVID.
I know how it works. I know how it works.
You don't get the flu.
I know.
How about this? You take responsibility for your orgasms and stop eliminating people smaller than you.
So you're saying I should carry a baby and ruin my collegiate life?
How about this? Instead of saying ruin, first of all, babies are a blessing. Stop talking at them as if they're some sort of annoyance.
I will have to drop out of college.
Number two, if you play certain games, you win certain prizes. If you're going to go have sex...
So you're saying I should drop out of college to support my child instead of supporting my life?
I'm saying if you're going to engage in coitus in the practice of having children, you might end up with a baby. So know that. And guess what? You don't need to have sex before you get married. It's not like showering. It's not like eating.
Are you married?
Yes, with 2 beautiful children.
Wow, good for you.
I could tell you're not married.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
How's that feel?
Feels great.
Too much?
Never.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Do you think we should be a Christian nation?
Well, of course. I mean,
Like officially?
officially, I mean, like through our documents. I am a believer in the U.S. Constitution, so no, I do not believe in a theocracy. No.
Okay. Then I guess that's it.
Had to get up on the mic. Oh, mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, cool. Make sure everybody can hear me. What's going on, man? Doing all right. Welcome to Knoxville. I'm up here for one purpose.